While friends of the same age are still drinking milk tea instead of eating, this young man sings and does 1,000,000 push-ups in one breath, a story from a past life when powerful beings fought each other. At this moment, Vodang is no different from a tiny fly flying by accidentally hit by stray bullets and wiped out in this life. He silently resolves that in his past life he was just a small wanderer. He didn't even know who harmed him. Now that heaven has given him a chance to be reborn, he cannot just die so easily. This time I must live up to the name and become a true person. This afternoon at 04:15:24, the rocket was successfully launched at the time and place, just like in the memories of the past life. It means I really have been reborn, returning at age 57. According to rumors in the past life, the rocket brought something back from the moon that became spiritual energy, restoring many times over 1000 years without a trace, causing Earth to enter an era where everyone cultivates immortality. If I can be reborn and return now, I must seize this opportunity. Unfortunately, the cultivation methods were ruined in the past life. For me now, they can only slightly improve my physical strength. It seems that to change the fate of this life, there is only that way. Just as Vodang thought this, his parents came home. Indeed, the air conditioner is life. The ice cream has arrived. Taking advantage of his parents' good mood, Vodang expressed his desire to go to Mount Vodang to become a Taoist. After a chaotic night, Vodang finally persuaded his parents to let him go to Vodang. Apprenticing, even though the price to pay was a bit harsh, Vodang, with a swollen face, carried his suitcase out of the house. His mother, tears in her eyes, looked at her son with frustration. "Little Thang, why are you so unreasonable?" "Wife, don't worry anymore," Little Thang already said. "It's just taken a year off school." Vodang's father comforted. "You know it's just a year off." "Look at him, Mom." Vodang's mother angrily applied physical force, causing his father to shout, "Ouch, please stop." Then both, worried, decided to follow their son to Mount Vodang. The reason Vodang wanted to go to Vodang was because there was a certain position in the heavenly ranking of top immortality cultivators. In the past life, he couldn't apprentice under a master, so this time he must seize the opportunity. Unfortunately, the sect leader Cao Tui Han Dao, whom Vodang wanted to apprentice under, was not in the mountain but performing abroad. He would return in a few months. Cao Tui Han Dao is ranked 3rd on the heavenly ranking and is considered a representative of Vodang martial arts before the recovery of the primordial energy of heaven and earth. Now, during this time, he and several sect leaders are not here. Should I choose another cultivation sect to apprentice and learn skills? Vodang, carrying his luggage, had just left Tutu Palace when he met a Taoist selling books at a stall in front of the door. "Come on, if you're of school age, you should study properly, little brother. Don't be fooled by stories and novels. If you really want to learn archery, I will introduce you to a few secret martial arts manuals of Vodang. The price for one book is only 300. This is the ancient martial legacy of Vodang, truly absolute, capable of making you unrivaled in the world. Proud in the universe, if young scholar you need internal power, you can also join the speed-up class I teach. Young scholar, today you are very fortunate with martial arts. Don't miss this lifetime opportunity. Please, sect leader, accept me as your disciple. I am willing to follow you to seek the immortal path." Vodang clasped his hands, bowed, and saluted secretly, rejoicing in his heart. Yes, this is my chance. Isn't this the Tan Ngon Tu Bat Ngon sect leader? In the past life, he was a top 5 elder cultivator on the heavenly ranking. This time I'm really lucky. Tan Ngon Tu was confused by Vodang's words. "Young friend, if you talk about learning martial arts, it's more believable, but you open your mouth and talk about cultivating immortality and Taoism. Have you ever met someone with magical powers? Disciples feel that Tao is a kind of spirit, a different perception of heaven, earth, and the universe. I have not found the person I want to apprentice under at Mount Vodang. But I have just met someone. I know the sect leader is not an ordinary person. You are quite interesting. Always talking about Tao and constantly seeking a master, yet choosing me at Mount Vodang. I'm just a person with a reputation but no substance. In recent years, I've only taken in one ordinary disciple and didn't care about her. You must want to apprentice under me. Moreover, you want to apprentice under me. Do your parents know your mother came here with me? Sect leader, I sincerely want to follow you to cultivate." Tan Ngon Tu looked at Vodang with satisfaction. "It seems you are very sincere, not just influenced by movies and novels to run away from home." 3 questions answered that satisfied me. Then let your parents come to talk. The first question, what is the Tao? According to the understanding of a Tao disciple, it naturally has an order, which is the law in action. Question number 2. What is the technique of the Ngu Sun Dao sect? Y men tuong bok sun is the Dao technique. Tien Fap Y is the Dao clothing men is. Vuong Thang answered fluently, making Tan Ngon Tu nod in agreement, seeming very determined. Then, question number 3, after bowing to the master, if I and your father fall into the water and are about to drown, who will you save first? Saving the master first would be unfilial to your parents. The Dao sect has a saying, the unfilial will not become a person. Saving your parents first means disregarding the master. The master is like a parent. After pondering for a while, Vuong Thang decided to answer, I will save my father first. Thang Gon Tu accepted this answer. He decided to accept Vuong Thang as a disciple. The next morning, yesterday, I finished talking with your parents. Now you are only my apprentice disciple. Wait until after the examination to decide whether to officially accept you as a disciple. This place is where I live. Usually only I and your senior sister are here. During this time, stay with everyone. Yes, master, Vuong Thang replied, thinking silently, not knowing what the master said to his parents yesterday to persuade them to let him stay on Vo Mountain no matter what. Finally succeeded in becoming a disciple. At this time, Tan Ngon Tu stood outside the yard and called loudly, Tiu Huyen, isn't it you who wants to see your apprentice junior brother? Come quickly and see! From inside the house, a simply dressed girl stepped out. Tan Ngon Tu patted her head and introduced, This child is Mukwan Huyen, your senior sister. She is usually very afraid of strangers. But surprisingly, she is not afraid of you. Hello, senior sister, my name is Vuong Thang. Please teach me more in the future. Vuong Thang said, feeling a bit suspicious inside. Muk is very rare. Quan Huyen. Wait, Muk Quan Huyen. Is really my senior sister's name. Tan Ngon Tu was a bit angry and shouted, Nonsense, this name was given by me. Could it be wrong? Calm down now, I have to stay calm. But Bat Ngon Dao Truong, Than Ngon Tu Bat Ngu Tien Tu Muk Quan Huyen. Why didn't I realize that the two of them are master and disciple? The top 10 masters on the celestial ranking for bodyguard will be arrogant later. Vuong Thang thought and laughed to himself, making Muk Quan Huyen confused. She pointed at Vuong Thang, then pointed at her head as if asking Tan Ngon Tu if he had a problem with his brain. Tan Ngon Tu was silent for a moment, then smiled and replied, If everyone here were ordinary children who would bear to bring a child to the mountain to suffer, you are the senior sister. Remember to take care of your junior brother. After a while, Tan Ngon Tu led Vuong Thang into the front hall and then seriously reminded him, although you call me master, before passing on the Tao, there needs to be a period of testing. You must prepare your mind first. If you cannot endure it, I will not force you to stay on the mountain. Understand, as long as the master does not expel the disciple from the mountain, no matter what is said, the disciple will not give up. Vuong Thang responded with a determined expression. Then look at that millstone. After you rest, go grind those 2 bags of wheat into flour. Vuong Thang immediately obediently followed. Watching him focus on grinding wheat, Tan Ngon Tu was quite satisfied, then called Muk Quan Huyen outside to practice martial arts together. Vuong Thang was still very diligent grinding wheat. Occasionally stopping to rest, he would look back at the 2 masters and disciples Tan Ngon Tu. Indeed, despite the lack of heavenly and earthly spiritual energy inheritance, cultivation has not stopped. Even the process of calming the mind and concentrating this kind of cultivation accumulated over many years is extremely formidable. No wonder after restoring heavenly and earthly primordial energy, the speed of these Tao cultivators far surpasses ordinary people. After training in the sect, the master will definitely pass on some cultivation methods to me. Let's go. Indeed, standing under a big tree is the coolest, but nothing is more important than one's own strength. Even if not as good as the senior sister, I cannot be inferior. Thinking so, Vuong Thang was full of vitality and continued grinding wheat, unaware that the master, although practicing martial arts, was always watching him and silently evaluating. Stepping firmly on the ground, not hurried or reckless with a rather good temperament, finally the task of grinding wheat was completed. Although Vuong Thang had trained his body for several months before doing this for the first time, still made him unaccustomed. The feeling of soreness was unavoidable at this moment. Muk Quan Huyen brought a cup of water to Vuong Thang. Thank you, senior sister. Vuong Thang smiled and accepted. Inside the room at this time, Tan Ngon Tu's voice rang out, Finish, then go clean your room. Then he led Vuong Thang to his own room. The main house has 2 bedrooms, just enough for 2 people, and 2 huyen each has a room. The master's room is on one side. Normally, if anything happens, they can come to find me. After a nap, he went down the mountain to meet his parents to reassure them. A while later, Mukwan Huyen was playing games when Thangon Tu was lurking outside the door. Vuong Thang suddenly waved his hand, signaling her to come. Mukwan Huyen, curious, gently went over and then peeked into Vuong Thang's room, with the master discovering he was sitting and practicing martial arts. "It seems your junior brother is quite impressive." Just as Thangon Tu complimented, he heard snoring from inside the room, making him shyly scratch his head. "It's not really a compliment, ha-ha." After resting, Vuong Thang went down the mountain to meet his parents as the master instructed. When he returned, he carried a big bag on his back. The senior sister's shoes were too old. I asked my parents to buy 2 new sets. Perhaps the master won't blame me. I have spared no effort to come up the mountain and must have made my parents sad. Although I don't know what to say in this era of restoring vitality, everything is unknown, I need enough strength to protect them. But Vuong Thang looked puzzled at the 2 bags in his hands. Clearly there is spring water on the mountain for us to use, so why did the master specifically tell me to go down the mountain to buy 2 cheapest bottles of spring water? Forget it, the master must have some ulterior motive. I'll just follow his instructions. The truth proved Vuong Thang had overestimated his master. He looked at the master, who was engrossed in writing sacred water of Mount Vo on each bottle he brought back, and was speechless. This is the master's side job, especially for lay people who come up the mountain to pray. Each bottle costs 2,100. Selling more than 10 bottles a day is already good enough. Now to the backyard. I will demonstrate a set of martial arts for you as an introductory benefit. Vuong Thang immediately smiled brightly and followed the master to the backyard. After a while, Vuong Thang practiced the martial arts the master just taught. In his heart, he couldn't help but marvel that after doing the entire set, his whole body felt hot. It seemed like a spiritual energy was flowing around his body. The master passed down this martial art to me. Although simple, it unexpectedly contains profound spiritual movement. It's surprising to learn such exquisite martial arts right after starting. Today, I must practice this set thoroughly. By the time Vuong Thang finished practicing, it was already late. At this moment, he noticed Mukwan Huyen was dozing off outside the door, so he gently shook her awake and said, "Senior sister, go to bed." "Uh-huh." Mukwan Huyen responded drowsily and went inside. It turned out the senior sister didn't just know how to say uh-huh. The master said when she was young she was seriously ill, which caused her inability to speak like that. "I am the junior brother and must take care of Vuong Thang later." Just as he thought this, a shirt flew straight into his face. Mukwan Huyen was actually taking off the senior sister's shirt and going into her room to change. Vuong Thang hurriedly pushed Mukwan Huyen into her room and closed the door, then ran back to his own room to rest. The senior sister in front of me has no sense of caution at all. But as a standard junior brother, I cannot take advantage of my senior sister's convenience. But the senior sister now is very different from the silent fairy image in my previous life. Vuong Thang moved a little, and a painful sensation spread from his arm. Cultivation is indeed not that simple. I should just meditate. After meditating for a while, sleepiness came over him. While half asleep, Vuong Thang seemed to hear the master calling, "Wake up." Vuong Thang rubbed his sleepy eyes and was startled when he saw Thangon Tu. When Thangon Tu entered the room, Vuong Thang's sleepiness was immediately swept away. He quickly sat up and softly called, "Master." Thangon Tu smiled and said, "Lie down, don't sleep yet. You started late in your training. Your meridians are blocked and your body is too stiff. Relax your body. The master will help you with bone marrow activation." Hearing this, Vuong Thang obediently lay down. Seeing this, Thangon Tu rolled up his sleeves and a blue energy appeared on his hands. He continuously pressed on Vuong Thang's body. During this process, Vuong Thang clenched his fists and silently thought that the master's hands seemed to carry a hot and cold energy to alternate. Could this be the internal energy that martial artists always pursue? Now that the Earth's vitality hasn't recovered the master through hard training since childhood has reached this level. He must have endured many hardships. The master used internal energy that is not easy to cultivate to activate my bone marrow. If so, I cannot let the master down. The next day, Vuong Thang woke up very early to practice. In his heart, he silently wondered if it was the effect of psychology or not. Today, after waking up, I feel very light, and my spirit is much stronger than yesterday morning. Standing aside, Thangon Tu nodded and smiled, saying, not bad, quite impressive. Yesterday was just for you to adapt. Today, I will not give you any more time to rest. You must prepare yourself mentally as time passes for a month. Wang Sheng is now sitting cross-legged in his room, surrounded by many black chi waves swirling around, although the master said he would increase training for him. But he would not give him tasks that exceed his endurance limit unless it was to exhaust his physical strength and make him feel overly tired. Every 3 days, the master also helps him with the meridian activation. Therefore, the remaining internal energy of the master lies within my body. After 2 or 3 times, I can roughly sense the position of the meridians, taking advantage of this opportunity. I can also try to cultivate the foundational cultivation method that I obtained from my previous life. Although it still has no effect, the number of rejections and the quality of the turbid chi in my body clearly have upgraded. The only clear effect is the turbid chi. While deep in thought, Wang Sheng suddenly noticed a Mu Guanshuan standing outside the door holding her nose. Peeking inside the room, she shyly exclaimed, "Ah, senior sister, why are you there?" "Sorry, senior sister, I will open the ventilation right away." Outside in the courtyard, Qing Yanzi smiled and silently said, "Little Sheng is a good seed." Then he waved his hand at Wang Sheng. "Master, you're looking for me? Is there something?" Just as he asked, Wang Sheng ran up in front of Qing Yanzi. Qing Yanzi stood up and smiled, saying, "Little Sheng, you have been here for a month now. Currently, you have already entered the sect and trained. You have shown quite good performance. Tomorrow, the Vice Master will invite a sect elder to come here as a witness to confer the transmission method to you. Early tomorrow morning, wake up and bathe cleanly. At noon, you will officially enter the sect." Wang Sheng happily exclaimed, "Yes, Master." The next day at noon, a full set of ceremonial offerings had been prepared. Under the witness of Uncle Li and Qing Yanzi seriously looked at Wang Sheng and said, "Wang Sheng, step forward." "Disciple," Wang Sheng responded, then immediately stepped forward and knelt on the cushion in front of Qing Yanzi, holding a wooden box before him, saying, "If you have entered the sect, you must inherit the name of our revered ancestor Lu Zudongbing. After you enter the sect, your sect name will be Bayu and your sect title will be Feiyu. Today I pass on to you the scripture left by the divine Yang Immortal of our sect. You have half a month to copy it. Later your cultivation will basically rely on this scripture." Wang Sheng respectfully took the wooden box with both hands and said, "Thank you, Master." After the ceremony was completed, the Vice Master and Uncle Li went to eat. "You two clean up this place." They respectfully saw off the Master and Uncle. After seeing them off, Wang Sheng smiled and looked to the side, saying, "Senior sister, let's go have breakfast," but next to him was no longer the figure of Mu Guanshuan. When he turned his head back, Wang Sheng was stunned to see her happily eating the offerings on the table. In his heart he thought, "Senior sister's movement skills are really excellent. No wonder she is a top 10 elder on the heavenly ranking, but this appearance of senior sister really hardly relates to the image of that immortal Banyu." After a while, Wang Sheng finished cleaning and immediately took out the scripture to examine it. It had 5 missing paths, 5 elements, QI rushing spirit condensed boundary, and only the peak stage. While he was reading, Mu Guanshuan came over holding a plate of grapes. She smiled at Wang Sheng, opened his mouth, and fed him a grape. Wang Sheng scratched his head and laughed, saying, "Thank you, senior sister." Then he continued reading the scripture. Divine attainment, spiritual chrysanthemum attainment, peaceful Taoist, one hand, from then on longevity. Sitting behind him, Mu Guanshuan clenched her fists. Showing determination at the same time, she recalled the master's words, "If these were ordinary children who would bear to bring them up the mountain to suffer, you are the senior sister. Later you must care for and take care of the junior brother." 2 months later, after the initiation ceremony, Qing Yanzi began teaching Wang Sheng the Taoist cultivation method. The scripture inside also cannot lack the key points of cultivation in the sect. Now, cultivating martial arts, or more precisely, the method of cultivating martial arts to protect the Tao when the primordial chi of heaven and earth still exists. Cultivators, besides cultivating the Tao and comprehending the great Tao, also cultivate Taoist arts using themselves to protect the great Tao, practicing chivalry. Taoist arts include mysterious formations, 8 trigrams, Lu Yi sects, great formation, talisman seals, and alchemy and chi refining. These Taoist methods were once very glorious. Later, the primordial chi on earth gradually depleted, and Taoist arts became merely formalism. The cultivation of chi and dandao, these methods were once very glorious, But then the primal energy on Earth gradually depleted and the Taoist arts became merely formalism. Tao cultivators without primal energy must protect themselves by using part of their expertise in close combat Taoist arts to fight and amplify their power. This is martial cultivation, also called martial Tao. At this moment, Tan Gontu sat on the chair and laughed, saying, "Little Huyen, your junior apprentice brother, has been initiated for 2 months now. You, instead of your master, probe his inner situation." In the middle of the courtyard, Muk Kwan Huyen immediately signaled to invite Wong Thang Su Tai, saying, "Please teach me loudly." Wong Thang immediately rushed toward Muk Kwan Huyen to attack. Seeing this, Muk Kwan Huyen smiled, executed the Bagua footwork under her feet, her body agilely dodging Wong Thang's attacks, then took the opportunity to grab his wrist. His other hand quickly cut to his throat and threw him up high. Like this, for half a day, Wong Thang sat with his face buried in the corner, crying silently. Training is so hard. I can't even touch the edge of Senior Sister's robe. Is the gap between me and the elder really that big? Then, he looked at Muk Kwan Huyen with a pitiful expression and said, "Senior Sister, if I get bullied by others in the future, you must seek justice for me." Muk Kwan Huyen smiled and replied. Tang Gontu stood up and laughed, saying, "All right, come here. Today I will teach you a sword technique that can rival Senior Sister's sword formation. It's called the 7-star sword formation, focusing on body movement shifting and changing the center of gravity. If you master it, you will see the sword at the heart of the Northern Forest battle eliminating demons." Then he used a branch as a sword and began to demonstrate once for Wong Thang. Watching carefully the sword stance and after images the 7-star sword formation shifting unpredictably, standing aside observing Wong Thang was amazed and thought silently, "The sword after images are mysterious, the meaning of the 7 swords united. Is this caused by the movement of the heavenly and earthly primordial energy? But isn't the heavenly and earthly primordial energy still not restored, Master? What exactly have you done?" Very quickly, Tan Ngon Tu finished the demonstration, placed the branch in Vuong Thang's hand, and said, "You practice this sword technique. If you have a small achievement within 3 years, it means you have great talent. No need to rush, just start from the basics." Vuong Thang was first stunned, then shouted loudly, "I definitely won't disappoint, Master, as long as I keep trying one day." Tan Ngon Tu flicked Vuong Thang's forehead and scolded, "Look at your hopeless expression." Vuong Thang covered his forehead and smiled, saying, "This is just a short-term goal. Right now, I'm still far behind Senior Sister, but I don't want to be worse than her in the future. After all, Senior Sister is so lovely, of course I want to protect her." Tan Ngon Tu smiled and said, "If you say so, that's good." Time passed with the experience of 10 years from the previous life, and under the help of cultivation, it only took an afternoon for Vuong Thang to memorize more than half of the sword technique. On his face, he couldn't hide his joy and thought silently, "In the previous life, because I didn't have the cultivation system's method, all the troubles of this life are right in front of me. If I don't try harder, I really have to apologize for this reincarnation." However, when he looked at Muk Kwan Huyen practicing sword nearby, he sighed and thought, "Moreover, compared to Senior Sister, I'm still far behind. I have to train desperately." Summer passed, autumn came, and cold winter arrived. Although the early morning was very cold, Muk Kwan Huyen and Vuong Thang still practiced in the yard as usual training swords. In Vuong Thang's heart, he thought, "I don't know, since when I have been cultivating on the mountain for more than half a year. The longer the time on the mountain, the more I understand about the silent Tao Master and the silent immortal. The more I understand, the more I feel like a careless boy who fell into a pure, immortal spiritual realm of Senior Sister without distractions, with Tao enlightenment almost engraved in the bones. If ordinary people like me can only chase the Tao but not cultivate Senior Sister is the one who walks with me in the mortal world. But she doesn't understand the difference in existence between men and women. But compared to Senior Sister, Master is even more formidable. Speaking of the study of scriptures, talismans, military weapons, demon-chasing, exorcism, alchemy, Master is proficient in all. I don't know how Master in a short life of less than 45 years can grasp so many skills. As for me, except for sitting in meditation every day, cultivating, studying Tao scriptures, listening to Master's teachings, I spend all my remaining time and energy on cultivation. After half a year of the Spirit Sword formation, I have become proficient in the 7-star sword formation, but compared to Senior Sister, I basically have no right to be arrogant, to catch up with her footsteps. I have no choice but to be strict with myself." Just then, Tanangon Tu spoke. Very good, after only half a year of the 7-star sword formation. You have made some achievements. It seems your talent is even higher than I thought. The weather is getting cold now. Snowfall is not as cold as the melting snow starting tonight. You and Zhao Xuan should sleep in the same room. Wang Sheng continuously waved his hand, saying, Master, let senior sister sleep alone. It's fine, I'm okay. Qing Yanzi rubbed his chin thoughtfully and looked at him, asking, Why could it be that you won't even spare your own senior sister? Wang Sheng forced a smile and said, How could that be? Is a disciple that kind of person? Qing Yanzi didn't tease Wang Sheng further. He patted his shoulder and said, Just be simple, young man. Consider this a training of your temperament. Right, remember to change the blanket for you and senior sister. The blanket on the girl's bed has been used for 7 or 8 years. It's no longer warm. That night in the bedroom, Wang Sheng wrapped himself in the blanket, turned his back to Mu Guanshuan, and didn't dare to look at her. Master, does he want to play matchmaker for me and senior sister? While he was thinking nonsense, Mu Guanshuan poked his face with her finger. Her expression clearly showed displeasure because he ignored her. Wang Sheng quickly sat up. Smiling, he looked at Mu Guanshuan and said, Senior sister, it seems you were really looking forward to me moving in here. My reaction was indeed not very appropriate. Thinking this, Wang Sheng shyly scratched his face and said, I was just a little shy. Hearing this, Mu Guanshuan suddenly had an idea. A few minutes later, she brought a tic-tac-toe board and placed it on Wang Sheng's bed. Seeing this, Wang Sheng whispered to himself, Sure enough, senior sister is as simple as a blank sheet of paper. She has absolutely no concept about this matter. Then he looked at Mu Guanshuan and said, We can only play for half an hour. Otherwise, tomorrow we'll definitely be yawning all day. Master will scold us again. Time passed until January 15th. Tonight was the Lantern Festival, but Wang Sheng was still diligently practicing swordsmanship in the yard. In his heart, he thought, with a famous master here, making use of this time to cultivate will be much stronger than in my previous life. He didn't know when the recovery of the primordial energy of heaven and earth had arrived. At this moment, Qing Yanzi's voice came from the room. Xiao Sheng, the glutinous rice balls are ready. Finish practicing swordsmanship quickly and come back. Wang Sheng smiled and replied yes. Inside the room, Qing Yanzi looked out into the yard and said, That day I gave you the Taoist name, so it should be called Sword Enlightenment. Outside in the yard, Wang Sheng continued practicing swordsmanship and thought to himself, According to memories from my previous life, today is the day the primordial energy recovers. I must pay attention and not let Master and Senior Sister miss this opportunity. Not long after, Qing Yanzi seemed to sense something. His eyes immediately widened. At the same time, Wang Sheng outside had already sheathed his sword. He smiled, looked up at the sky, and silently said, The primordial energy of heaven and earth has arrived. Master and Senior Sister joyfully shouted. Wang Sheng was about to turn back into the room to share the good news with them when he suddenly noticed Qing Yanzi had appeared right behind him. He placed a hand on his back, his expression serious, and softly scolded, Calm down, don't miss your own opportunity. Meditate and circulate the sect's heart method. Senior Sister's meridians have long been opened. Now it's stable. I will borrow the strength of your arm to open the meridians throughout your body. Wang Sheng was moved and softly said, Master. He didn't say more, but obediently sat cross-legged on the ground. Quickly circulating the heart method, meanwhile in his heart he thought, The first primordial energy recovered after 1000 years is an invaluable treasure for cultivators. If missed, this opportunity might never come again in a lifetime. Under such circumstances, Master still remembers the meridians of this little disciple have not been completely opened. This kindness. How should I repay it in the future? The meridians where unblocked circulation became 10 times faster than before. This is the primordial energy of heaven and earth bringing an upgrade to cultivators. It seems after today, earth will enter a new era. A moment later, when Wang Sheng opened his eyes, he saw Mu Guanshuan smiling in front of him and asked, Senior Sister, have you finished regulating your breath? Mu Guanshuan covered his mouth with her finger and then pointed in a direction. Wang Sheng looked and saw Qing Yanzi sitting cross-legged cultivating, and he also noticed that his realm was rapidly increasing. He happily said, Master is gathering spirit, right? In fact, the person was about to break through to the void core stage, and at the same time he sighed inwardly. Although the primordial energy is good, it's only a bit purer. Ordinary cultivators basically cannot rely on it to break through realms. Those who can rely on it to break through realms obviously have been cultivating for more than 15 years. Just now, having accumulated as much as today, the accumulation of the Master is truly terrifying. One night passed like that until dawn. Muk Quan Huyen and Vuong Thang diligently practiced again. After practicing the seven-star sword formation, once Vuong Thang looked at the wooden sword in his hand and silently said that the senior sister's innate talent for advancement was unquestionable, and his own cultivation had also risen a level. In just one short night, the primal energy in his body had been refined several times over the gains, even more than in his previous life, which was beneficial. The primal energy in his body regarding the comprehension of the seven-star sword formation had stepped into another realm. The wooden sword used for practice now could no longer withstand the primal energy and sword intent. As for the master's primal energy after awakening during the day, it entered a stable state. 3 days later at night, Vuong Thang took responsibility as guardian for Tan Gon Tu, who was resting. Entering the door to sleep and dozing off, suddenly a soft call sounded, "Little Thang, wake up." Vuong Thang groggily opened his eyes, and seeing it was Tan Gon Tu, joyfully exclaimed, "Master, you're awake." Tan Gon Tu smiled and said, "These past few days have been hard on you all because you had to guard me. Go back to your room to rest first." After a while, the master had something to tell them. After resting, Tan Gon Tu began to tell Vuong Thang and Mukwan Huyen about the cultivation world 1000 years ago. At the same time, he warned them, saying the Tao will change and fluctuate, and naturally those who cultivate Tao like us must bear great responsibility. Except for the demon suppression time passed. After a short handover, they resumed their previous days of cultivation. Nothing major changed, but with the help of primal energy, they truly had cultivation. In the courtyard, Vuong Thang practiced the seven-star sword formation once for Tan Gon Tu to see. It was evident that the power had greatly improved. Tan Gon Tu smiled and said, "Your seven-star sword formation has progressed step by step. Not bad, not bad." Mukwan Huyen, sitting beside, also happily clapped and praised. Vuong Thang humbly said, "It's all thanks to the master's teaching that the disciple has achieved this." Then he shyly scratched his head, pointed to the large hole in the wall, and laughed, asking, "But master, does this not count as damaging the merit of Vodang Mountain?" Tan Gon Tu laughed and replied, "It doesn't count." Then the three looked at each other and laughed loudly. Time passed again. Spring to autumn, Vuong Thang had spent 3 years on Vodang Mountain. Today, the normally peaceful days of cultivation were broken when the Taoist leader Li Tuingo came to the door. From afar, Li Tuingo ran over with a worried face and shouted, "Tan Gon Tu! Senior brother, Vodang is in trouble." Tan Gon Tu invited Li Tuingo into the room. Just as he sat down, Li Tuingo exclaimed, "No matter what, you must help me." Tan Gon Tu poured a cup of tea for Li Tuingo. Then he smiled and said calmly, "Don't rush to drink the tea, listen slowly." Then, according to Li Tuingo's account, the recovery of vital energy had taken 3 years so far. Most sects had regained their own inheritance. Naturally, no one was idle. Not long ago, more than 20 famous sects planned to hold an exchange meeting at Mao San to probe each other's internal affairs. Also because of this grand exchange meeting, Li Tuingo came to Tan Gon Tu seeking help. Li Tuingo sighed heavily, lamenting that from the sect leader's senior brother to 2 senior uncles, all said cultivation was important and pushed everything to him. "But my cultivation is low. If someone intentionally probes, I'm afraid I can't keep this job. I can only rely on senior brother to help." Tan Gon Tu spoke up. "If you want to find cultivators at the nascent soul stage to handle this, I'm afraid I can't go." Hearing this, Li Tuingo worriedly asked, "Has senior brother's realm dropped?" "How could that be?" Tan Gon Tu smiled and said, "Not exactly dropped. A few months ago, I broke through to the void core stage. This time it seems not very suitable." Hearing this, Li Tuingo inwardly groaned, "Green bean, a Taoist like you don't pretend to be stupid. High realm, so what? The old Taoist is only at the spirit gathering stage. Can you consider my feelings?" At this time, Tan Gon Tu continued, "Although I won't go, my 2 disciples are quite suitable for your request." Li Tuingo was startled and exclaimed, "Huh! Bat Ngu and Fingu have broken through to the nascent soul stage." Tan Gon Tu deliberately sighed. So Tu Huyen broke through to nascent soul stage a few months ago. Tu Thang leans towards sword Tao. He apprenticed a bit late, so his realm is somewhat lower than his senior sister's, reluctantly only late spirit gathering stage. Li Tuingo once again silently cried, "I know you have a high realm and good disciple quality. Is it necessary to show off like this? If it weren't that your realm is higher than mine, I really want to have a life or death battle with you." Sitting outside the room, Vuong Thang held his stomach and laughed silently, saying that Master's teasing is getting more and more powerful. When night fell, Li Tuing'o took his leave and left. Tan Gon Tu and Vuong Thang accompanied him to see him off. When they reached the door, Li Tuing'o turned around, clasped his hands, and said, "Let's decide on this matter then. I will depart tomorrow morning. I take my leave first." Tan Gon Tu clasped his hands and said, "Junior brother, take it easy." Vuong Thang also clasped his hands and said, "Master Li, take it easy." Not long after, Tan Gon Tu handed over Mu Kwang Huyen to Vuong Thang to take along with Li Tuing'o to the exchange meeting. Compared to him, Mu Kwang Huyen grew up in the mountains since childhood. Of course, she could not avoid Tan Gon Tu's thorough instructions after descending the mountain. Do not leave your phone if the battery is insufficient. Remember to use the power bank. Do not talk to strangers. Also, do not get into other people's cars. Men outside the mountain are not trustworthy. Always care about junior brother whether there is anything going on or not. "Yes," Vuong Thang said while collecting luggage. He silently thought that the human heart is more treacherous than the purity of the mountain from beginning to end. The pure-hearted senior sister, though as beautiful as a fairy, is also easily deceived by others. But in these years I have also leveled up a lot. Now I can help senior sister pack clothes and even change realms. Suddenly he accidentally held an item that made him blush. He hurriedly put it into the luggage chest, muttering to himself about the way. Early the next morning, Vuong Thang wore the martial sect uniform and carried 2 luggage chests. Li came out to the yard. Tan Gon Tu approached and asked, "Have you finished packing?" Vuong Thang smiled and replied, "Yes, we can depart any time." Tan Gon Tu placed a hand on his shoulder and said, "Little Thang, this time when you go out, do not bully the weak just because you are strong, and do not go around boasting about the way. You must try to be humble, understood." Vuong Thang patted his chest and assured, "Master, rest assured, humility is my specialty." Tan Gon Tu nodded with satisfaction and smiled, then called inside the room, "Little Huyen, get ready to depart." "Are you ready?" Mu Kwang Huyen's voice came from inside the room. "Yes." A few seconds later, she stepped out of the room. Vuong Thang was immediately stunned by her current appearance, his face quickly turning red. Tan Gon Tu pushed Vuong Thang with his hand. He laughed and said, "Quick, stand over there." He took a photo of the 2 of them and posted it on the friend circle. Vuong Thang shyly said, "Master said to be humble." A moment later, laughter and chatter from Tan Gon Tu echoed in the yard. "Ha ha, laugh out loud." The truth proved that Mu Kwang Huyen's beauty was extraordinary. Wherever she went, she attracted the attention of boys, making Vuong Thang anxious. He feared some rogue would harass senior sister and get beaten badly, which would be dangerous. Meanwhile, Li Tuing'o stood in front of a passenger bus waving to call them. "Greetings, Master Li." Vuong Thang and Mu Kwang Huyen clasped their hands and bowed. As expected of Tan Gon Tu's disciples, the senior brother's politeness made others respect him. "Let's get acquainted a bit." Li Tuing'o smiled kindly and gestured toward the 3 people beside him. These 3 were 3rd-generation disciples of the Vodang mountain sect sent over and were about the same rank as the 2. Sword cultivator Chu Ong, long body cultivator Zich Lin, and Strong Hong each introduced themselves in turn. "Greetings, senior brothers and sisters. I'm a bit clumsy at talking. If you have any instructions, just tell me." Vuong Thang responded, secretly evaluating in his heart that, judging by their aura, they had clearly reached the 2-Tan realm. The strength of Vodang is indeed not to be underestimated. However, the Vodang sect's core cultivation method belongs to the true martial first white Dao method, mostly close to martial arts. Today, with the sect restored, the Dao Vo will probably be looked down upon by other sects. "Let's get on the bus and depart." Following Li Tuing'o's words, the 5 of them boarded the bus one by one. Mu Kwang Huyen chose a seat near the window, her eyes always looking outside, making Vuong Thang laugh. "Looking forward to it." Mu Kwang Huyen took her phone, selected some stickers to express excitement, and showed them to Vuong Thang. "This is our new way of communicating." "Got it." Vuong Thang smiled and replied. "This is the phone Vuong Thang bought with money earned as a mage." After switching from a brick phone to a smartphone, Mukwan Huyen's meme-playing skills have entered a new chapter. Now, competing with that guy, I'm afraid everyone sitting here is just trash. In my past life, I only lived until 31 years old. Many things still hadn't broadened my horizons. This time, everything will change. Moreover, Vuong Thang unconsciously looked at Mukwan Huyen. Must protect the person beside me. Quickly, the car took them to the hotel at the foot of Mauson Mountain. The Grand Taoist gathering will officially start tomorrow morning. During this time, everyone should rest well. You can also go sightseeing around, but don't get too tired. Li Tuingo reminded a few words and then left. The next morning, Mukwan Huyen sat in front of Vuong Thang's room playing games. Vuong Thang stepped out of the room just as she lost a match. Hey, senior sister is waiting for me. Why doesn't Mukwan Huyen bother to reply? Angry already. Mukwan Huyen raised the phone screen with a sticker, quickly coaxing Lao Tu up, recalling Mukwan Huyen's hurt eyes yesterday when having to share a room with Shich Lin. Vuong Thang somewhat reluctantly explained. Senior sister, now, it's not like on the mountain. It's not very reasonable for us to share a room. How about going out for a walk? It's not easy to come to Mao Sun once, so I should buy some local specialties for Master. At that moment, the group from Vodang's sect also arrived. Chuang Long smiled and asked, "What are you buying?" "We are also bringing some back for Master." Mukwan Huyen saw them and immediately hid behind Vuong Thang. Vuong Thang politely greeted senior brothers and sisters good morning. Chuang Long warmly put his arm around Vuong Thang Pingu, junior brother. "We are planning to go out for a walk to enjoy the beautiful scenery of Mao Son. I wonder if you and Batengu, senior sister, are interested." Vuong Thang happily accepted. On the way, the group chatted cheerfully. Mao Sun is also easy to climb, and Shich Lin said Chuang Long agreed. The main mountain of Mao Sun is several hundred meters high, but the Taoist temples are very peaceful and easy to find. If the mountain isn't high, how can it be spiritual? Vuong Thang said, then looked at Mukwan Huyen, who was eating delicious cakes, thinking silently. Of course, for senior sister, whether it's spiritual or not doesn't matter. Eating is enough. Their group was preparing to continue moving when another group came to start a conversation. "Which sect do you Taoists belong to?" "I am Lu Ventri from Mao Sun." "Greetings, fellow Taoists. I am Chuang Long from Vodang Mountain, paying respects to you." Liu Ventri smiled and replied, "So you are Taoists from Vodang. You are all welcome to make yourselves at home. If the reception is not courteous or proper, please forgive me." While both sides greeted each other, Vuong Thang noticed the unusual gaze of the two companions. Liu Ventri said, "Are you Mao Sun people trying to play tricks?" Could it simply be a greeting? Vuong Thang just thought of this when the other group excused themselves. Passing by, Vuong Thang accidentally overheard. Now everyone is cultivating Tao and comprehending the law. Vodang disciples are coming to stir up trouble, showing off sword fighting. It turned out they wanted to find someone to fight. Vuong Thang thought, isn't senior brother Van Tree looking for the special talisman of Long Ho's son to train? Looks like they failed and went back. The blonde-haired guy was still speaking when a strange object hit the back of his head, causing him pain and anger. Who was hitting from behind Vuong Thang immediately turned to look at Mukwan Huyen, who was using internal energy with a dumpling piece. He immediately knew it was senior sister. Speaking of which, Vuong Thang grabbed Mukwan Huyen's hand and pulled her. "Let's go quickly." Doing bad things and not running fast? Staying means you want to fight. At the same time, the blonde-haired guy was frantically looking around, cursing non-stop. Who dares to do this but not admit it, cowardly? "If you find Mao Sun disciples annoying, come out and teach me." His companions said, "If it weren't for you two bad-mouthing behind our backs, we wouldn't have encountered this." Lu Van Tree calmly looked around, then bent down to pick up a dumpling piece that had fallen near the blonde guy's spot, showing that his cultivation was much better than that arrogant Long Ho Sun guy. Much better worthy of being the young generation of Vodang. Indeed, there are formidable characters. In the afternoon at the square in front of Mao Sun Palace, Li Tui Ngo led 5 young men, smiling and greeting other sects at the exchange meeting, which made some people feel annoyed. Vodang in recent years hasn't just had sword techniques and kicks that can roam the world, but also comes to stir up excitement and even looks for beautiful female disciples to attract fame. Maybe they paid to hire them. Vuong Thang stood not far away, hearing these words, feeling troubled. Taoist sects just restored martial arts but are not respected. This can be explained. But fellow Taoists, can everyone please lower your voices a bit during the discussion? Otherwise, I'm afraid we won't be able to eat senior sister. Vuong Thang turned to look at Mukwan Huyen, who naturally also heard those few gossiping words, and was raising his phone with the words, "I want to hit Li Tuingo 10 times. Standing in front, Li Tuingo spoke up. Perhaps everyone now understood the situation. Perhaps all the sects are preparing to embarrass us. Later at the sect exchange, there will probably be people telling you to go out to the arena to train. Speaking of which, Li Tuingo's eyes shone brightly as he looked at Mukwan Huyen silently. Just wait until then you make a move to cause a little stir, and today we can watch the show more peacefully. But senior uncle and master have already instructed us." Before Vuong Thang finished speaking, Muk Quan Hu Yen happily nodded in agreement with Li Tui Ngo, so he could only silently curse in his heart. Everyone, good luck to yourselves. Very quickly, everyone gathered in the middle of the arena. The referee loudly announced, "Now begins the grand event. Today the Orthodox sects gather at Mao Son. All are legitimate sect heirs. All have reincarnated Chai techniques. Next, please, fellow cultivators, freely demonstrate your cultivation research and discuss your cultivation methods." After some chatter, Quan Hu Yen couldn't help but nod sleepily. Vuong Thang smiled wryly. "This sect exchange event is actually just a sect control gathering, right?" Thinking of this, he turned to Quan Hu Yen and instructed, "Senior sister, if you really need to go on stage later if not necessary, don't show too much skill. Just show your cultivation level." Zich Lin saw him so serious. She couldn't help but tease, "Looks like you are the senior brother, huh?" The three were laughing happily when suddenly a voice rang out. "If that's the case, Mao's son will go first." Hearing this, both Quan Hu Yen and Vuong Thang were surprised and looked toward the speaker. Then the person who spoke quickly stepped onto the arena to showcase his talent. He pulled out a yellow piece of paper from his chest, identical to a ritual paper, then channeled inner energy and spoke arrogantly. "Now to slander." As soon as he finished speaking, the paper in his hand quickly glowed, transforming into a yellow aura surrounding him. Suddenly, the lights resembled cotton candy, gathering into a solid sword. He began wielding the sword with graceful and decisive movements, extremely flexible. After finishing, he just raised his hand and said something, and the sword dissolved back to its original form. Quan Hu Yen and he looked on in bewilderment. "Is that all? A bit too ordinary to compete with, right?" Vuong Thang shook his head in dismay. "Sure enough, you can't share your sect's Dao techniques with others." Suddenly, a mocking voice rang out. "This is the famous and prestigious Mao Sun Dao technique. Is this really powerful?" The crowd around, hearing the sarcasm in the words, began turning around, searching and whispering. "Where is that sound coming from?" Someone from Mao Sun spoke up. "Who is talking?" The voice continued. "When I was young, I could already watch the 7 segments under the bridge and earn pocket money." It seemed Quan Hu Yen had spotted where the voice came from. She lightly pulled his hand and then pointed in that direction. He was lying down, enjoying the sunlight, babbling non-stop. "Really respect the 3 sects of Fu Trian, and this clever guy is the Tian Chuang." Vuong Thang thought, Fu Trian 3 sects. This person is probably a successor of Long Ho Mountain or Kai Tao Mountain. Judging by his tone, could he have some grudge against the sect leader? The referee was a bit confused. Fu Trian 3 sects, everyone has their strengths and naturally their own highlights. We now invite the next sect heir to perform, and the next performance belongs to Vodang's Tai at sword technique. Below, everyone excitedly discussed. Vodang's swordsmanship is indeed very delicate, but today everyone is showing Dao techniques and sword techniques, which is not very suitable. Vodang has no way to control the sword, right? Previously, without the primordial energy of heaven and earth, Vodang naturally would not be able to control all the swords. Hearing people discuss their sect like that, Long was a bit embarrassed, sweating nervously. Tian Chuang continued teasing. "Don't talk nonsense. Be careful. Senior brother Vodang is about to strike with a sword, urging the sword aura. Will kill you all cleanly." Hearing this, everyone couldn't help but laugh loudly. He spoke up. "Which fellow cultivator is that?" At the same time, Vuong Thang interrupted. Senior brother Chuang Long turned around and saw him stepping toward him. "Let me," he thought. "Senior uncle once said the swordsmanship level of junior brother is profound. If he goes on stage, it is indeed much more suitable than me." Thinking this, Sincere Dragon respectfully raised the sword in front of him and said, "My swordsmanship is not good. I have troubled you, junior brother." Wang Sheng bowed his head respectfully and humbly said, "Senior brother's sword technique is profound and not visible to the naked eye." Knowing it was just right to have some knowledge of the patterns used for demonstration just as he finished speaking, his figure quickly slipped past Wang Sheng, who gently readied his sword and focused his spirit. Swordfall switched to the bright moon sword technique. Guanshuan smiled, gently observing him. Everyone here was wide-eyed and open-mouthed. The referee also watched his sword technique with amazement. That was Wang Sheng, like an immortal master of the arena. He was so amazed that he did not consider it a mere martial art as he looked at the radiant aura continuously emanating from him. He was certain this was the intelligent sword heart, absolutely the intelligent sword heart recorded in ancient texts. Wang Sheng moved like a dancer on the stage. He appeared and disappeared with the long sword in his hand, extremely graceful. Then he raised the sword straight up to the sky. Wang Sheng's face was very serious. Immediately after, he darted swiftly with the treasured sword in his right hand, then to the left, his whole body continuously undulating. Wang Sheng again pointed his sword straight up to the sky. He channeled internal energy into his illusion and sword, multiplying into many clones. The heavenly chapter was so surprised that he stood up dumbfounded. Watching his performance, the crowd was left open-mouthed. What realm is that? Such a terrifying insight into the sword path. Is that person a sword immortal? That is a third-generation disciple, right? Also has the cultivation of spirit-gathering realm. Wang Sheng slowly lowered his sword. The light around him gradually softened. Swordfall Jingha. Amidst the bustling world, he felt utterly empty. Now he slowly opened his eyes. The sword technique was finished. Wang Sheng introduced, "The intelligent sword heart is my sword path." After finishing, Wang Sheng happily returned the sword to Sincere Dragon. "Senior brother, your sword," after seeing this performance. Sincere Dragon smiled wryly in his heart. "Junior brother." He covered his mouth with his hand and whispered, "Well then, now I'll change how I address you. Calling you senior brother, is it still in time?" Wang Sheng was speechless. "Senior brother, you're joking." The referee loudly announced, "The seven-star sword of Vodang is truly legendary. The Tao techniques and sword path of the mountains also deeply impress others. Today is a chance for disciples to correct mistakes and learn from each other. No more restrictions, everyone may freely ask each other questions. If you want to train together, you should stop here. Don't get injured." Hearing this, Guan Xuan's eyes sparkled brightly, seeing her so excited. He also blurted out, "Senior sister, do you want to go up?" She looked around, searching for a while, then winked at Wang Sheng and pointed in that direction. It was him, the person she mentioned, the heavenly chapter. He had been sitting there all along, watching them with a dark face. Realizing he was noticed, he did not hide it. He directly stood up and walked toward them. Wang Sheng immediately thought cautiously, "This guy has bad intentions towards senior sister, but something feels off." Because his eyes had not left him all this time, Wang Sheng thought, "Is he looking for me?" As he was about to approach, suddenly someone was faster. Approaching heavenly chapter, that person respectfully introduced himself. "Disciple of Mao Mountain, Liu Yunji presumptuously wishes to seek guidance from the great Tao master of the Dragon Tiger Heavenly Sect, the noble Thitian chapter." "Oh, want to fight a 1x0 disciple?" Heavenly chapter was stunned, then sneered and sighed, scratching his head with a dark face. "Why haven't you accepted defeat from last time?" "Anyway, I'm not afraid. Brother the sword player from Vodang Mountain is coming. It won't take long, come on." Wang Sheng stood on this side, dumbfounded and dark-faced, angry, thinking, "Sword play me." Then both quickly stepped onto the stage to duel. Heavenly chapter said, "Come on, what are we competing this time?" Liu Yunji drew his sword surrounded by golden talismans with red characters. Of course, these were talisman spells for defense. Hearing this, heavenly chapter was interested and laughed loudly, echoing throughout the arena. He held a talisman in his hand, which quickly burned up. Heavenly chapter looked down on his opponent for using talismans. Then he took out a small, compact talisman from his belt, seemingly improved. Then he looked at Liu Yunji arrogantly. "I don't accept anyone." Wang Sheng observed from afar, a bit amazed, an unfounded transformation with such magical talismans. Liu Yunji had cultivated since childhood and was nurtured by a major sect reaching mid-spirit gathering realm, which was not surprising. But Heavenly Chapter had already reached late spirit gathering realm. "On this side, Tian Chuang has spoken. Come here, I will let you strike first." Wang Thang couldn't help but wonder, with the primordial energy of heaven and earth just restored, the young cultivators who can enter the spirit gathering realm are all talented. If that person didn't have extraordinary talent, perhaps he is the successor of Long Ho Mountain, a place of divine records. At this moment, Van Tree also began to draw his sword, his eyes showing a sharp and resolute gleam. As his hand touched the sword blade, a brilliant golden light radiated out, and at the same time the talismans appeared and continuously flew around. Van Tree's sword quickly entered a ready-to-fight stance. He respectfully requested guidance with utmost caution, completely different from Tian Chuang. After speaking, he raised his sword, pointing to the sky, and shouted loudly, "Tuong Than Luat Len Tat Loi." The talismans were quickly drawn into the clouds, above which then emitted a golden light. From there, a huge and fierce power slammed down onto the ground where the target was, but it seemed Tian Chuang was not alarmed and easily dodged. It was that move again, truly nothing new. Van Tree did not stop there. He raised his long sword and shouted loudly, Loi Quang Chin Fap at the same time. Two talismans, Than Han Fu and Vien Qiu Fu, were cast to increase the power of the attack. Tian Chuang dodged while taunting, Tell me, do Mao Sun's talismans have this power? Can the thunder technique add a bit more force? These are just a few moves, truly boring. Finally, he made a move. Aren't you going to admit defeat, Tu Lu? Did you think I would let it slide? The two talismans used were Lin Sha Fu and Hoa Hak Fu. Tian Chuang was smug, mocking, and teasing. I've been wanting to ask you a question for a long time. How would you look wearing women's clothes? That's right, from now on, can I call you Liu Moi Moi? It seemed Van Tree was a little flustered when the two talismans simultaneously charged at him. Then Tian Chuang took out a set of 4 talismans and looked at Van Tree with a cunning gaze. He laughed loudly. I haven't even used my true skill yet, and you've already wasted some torn talisman papers. If today you force me to use over 100 talisman papers to form a formation, then I will admit defeat, okay? But Van Tree seemed so provoked that he angrily shouted, Shut up! The 4 talismans simultaneously attacked. The situation seemed unfavorable for Van Tree. He began to summon many yellow talismans around him to defend against Tian Chuang's fierce attacks. A fierce yellow internal force enveloped Van Tree, blocking those talismans. Tian Chuang threw himself forward while releasing several more talismans. Liu Moi Moi, you can't hold back anymore. The movie is still at the later part. 2 black talismans were thrown out and quickly transformed into tiny black butterflies. They formed a swarm of hundreds continuously surrounding Van Tree. This surprised him a bit. They flew out gradually, not hundreds, but thousands. In a flash, the black butterflies covered Van Tree's body. At the same time, from inside him, he quickly broke out a blazing golden aura. Van Tree successfully drove the black butterflies out of his body gently. Wang Thang was astonished, mouth agape. That robe is a magical weapon. On this side, Quan Huyen was still closely watching the fight. He evaluated that although the grade of that robe was not high, it required a large amount of true essence and spiritual will to defend, but it was clear to see it was a real sect magical weapon. This trip was not wasted. Tian Chuang underestimated the 1000-year inheritance magical weapon and gave it to a spirit-gathering realm disciple. Mao Sun is truly shameless, but our Longho Mountain's old master is shameless too. He looked smugly at Van Tree. That's unfortunate. They gave me something like that before, too. Van Tree's disciples were annoyed and glaring, while Tian Chuang's elders nodded with satisfaction, smiling brightly. Tian Chuang looked at the opponent challengingly. Now no one cares about face anymore. Van Tree was cautious, not knowing what use it had, but that jade stone was clearly a magical weapon. He was using his trump card. This battle cannot be lost. Then it's best to strike first, saying that Van Tree quickly channeled his internal force and struck at Tian Chuang. The light carried an extremely strong internal force. 5-direction divine strike breaking illusions. So far, Tian Chuang showed no sign of faltering. He lightly dodged just that. Not knowing his own limits, it was his turn. The moon-shaped stone was quickly attached to his forehead. Tian Chuang began to chant. The ghostly figure said, The secret is in my hands, the 6 decisive mystical arts, listen to me. Immediately after, from where he stood, the blue light quickly spread and flared brightly. Around Tian Chuang stood surrounded by an ancient internal force, like a transparent glass cage. He summoned a series of black talisman leaves, proudly looking at Van Tree. Liu Moi Moi, you are about to lose. As soon as he finished speaking, those talisman leaves quickly shot toward Van Tree. They flew swiftly. Seeing the situation was not very favorable, he quickly leapt up and activated his internal energy. Around Van Tree at this moment was also enveloped by a radiant sphere of light. The black talisman leaves flying toward him suddenly began to drip fresh blood, unknown whose blood it was. The blood kept dripping continuously onto Van Tree's circle of light, and his power quickly faded. He did not expect Tian Chuang to use this move, so he was momentarily stunned. The crowd continuously expressed outrage. Damn, even the black dog blood is used now. Have you lost all shame? Suddenly, a black talisman leaf quickly flew past Van Tree's face, leaving a streak of blood. He was stunned, raised his hand to touch his face, his eyes becoming lifeless. And finally, the sword in his hand gradually lowered. Van Tree sadly bowed his head. I lost. Wang Thang watched from beginning to end, unable to hold back his admiration. The successor of Long Ho Sun is truly extraordinary. A familiar voice came from behind, drawing the attention of the 2 younger siblings. that Tian Chuang is no ordinary person. The younger brother was surprised. "Senior uncle, do you know him?" "I have heard of him before." He stroked his beard. 6 years ago, he cultivated the Tao at Long Ho Sun. Before the primordial energy of heaven and earth returned, he grasped the basic talisman arts. After the energy returned, he suddenly comprehended the talisman arts from the books in a short time. Though young, he has founded more than 10 talisman arts. Now he is the top among the younger generation of Long Ho Sun, personally taught by the elder heavenly master of Long Ho Sun. The future is bright. The younger brother thought, if Tian Chuang has such strength, why did I never hear of this person in my previous life? Could it be that he encountered some calamity and died young? Otherwise, with his personality and eloquence, how could no one know about him? On this side, Tian Chuang proudly said, "Boring, activating this magic weapon once is not easy." Suddenly, he shouted loudly, "Little brother, the sword player from Vodang is over there. Let's have a match." Being called suddenly, the younger brother was momentarily stunned, pointing at himself as if to ask, "Me?" Recalling his master's advice, "Don't go around boasting about your Tao arts, try to be humble, understand?" He felt troubled inside because before leaving, his master had instructed him to be humble. Ong Long and everyone else were all stunned looking over at him. He exclaimed in Feiyu, if he retreats without fighting, he might leave behind a reputation of cowardice and fear for Vodang. After leaving, Vuong Thang stood up. "Ong Long, senior brother, may I borrow the sword for a moment?" The stands buzzed with excitement. "No way!" Going on stage and borrowing a sword from someone next to Vodang, how little does he respect the sword immortal in the future? Who cares if he respects it or not? Right now, the cultivation of this young man has not reached the sword level where he can't leave the sword. It will be very difficult to win. That's right, the opponent can throw out dozens of talismans. How could he not suffer losses? Quan Huyen pulled the younger brother's sleeve silently, but her eyes betrayed her worry. Vuong Thang understood her thoughts and comforted her. "Senior sister, don't worry, it's okay." It seemed she was truly shaken by his words. The young lady's cheeks blushed slightly. Quan Huyen then quickly regained her composure and gestured with her hand. "You must try your best." Everyone quickly stood up. Ong Long handed the sword to the younger brother carefully. Vuong Thang spoke, "Thank you, senior brother." The younger brother apologized to his master first. "I want to take this opportunity to test myself. If I can't win, it might ruin Vodang's reputation." The master didn't care and told him in Feiyu, "You must pay attention to your own safety. Such reputation means nothing." Thus, the two fighters quickly stepped onto the stage. Tian Chuang's face was full of confidence. Shich Lin worriedly asked his senior brother in Feiyu, "Are you sure you can defeat Tian Chuang?" Ong Long was also anxious. It's hard to say. He analyzed Tian Chuang's highest-level talisman skill is not ordinary, plus the Jade Stone magic weapon supports the spiritual power of the cultivator to enhance the talisman's power. At the same time, Truong Tien briefly introduced the young Taoist. Tian Chuang's master is a Taoist from Ho Long Sun Tian Chin. Ong Long felt that Feiyu's battle with him would not be easy. But here you quickly introduced Wang Sheng's Taoist title. The consort's master is Tan Ngon Tu Tian Chuang. Getting to the point, brother, can you let me have a way to contact your senior sister? Or shall we bet around? Wait until you lose later. Then give me a way to contact your senior sister, will you? Your face didn't change color. Finish fighting first, then talk as if your inner self was constantly screaming, "This guy knows how to fight, not easy at all." Tian Chuang proudly and aggressively quickly summoned talismans. Then a word was decided immediately after he quickly launched all the talismans toward Wang Sheng. When near your front they turned into big flames, you gently stepped aside, easily avoiding the first move suddenly at the same time. Above Wang Tian appeared a huge shadow, making you involuntarily look up a large crane fiercely flapping its wings towards you. That was the talisman he used earlier with Van Tree. Its giant foot aggressively stomped toward you strongly, but you were still calm. Just gently dodging the feet, your feet continuously moving everywhere you passed, appeared patches of light. It seems this is not a coincidence, but Wang Sheng had his own calculations, everyone under the stands murmured, looking over there. The position he passed was the 7-star north head. Very quickly, you stood in front of Tian Chuang, making him momentarily stunned and dumbfounded. Tian Chuang calculated the challenge talisman. This guy also has some skill. First must lure him away, then use a talisman to exhaust him. But before he finished thinking, you were already standing right behind him. Your speed was extremely smooth and fast, making the opponent startled, sensing danger. Tian Chuang quickly turned to dodge. Around him at this moment, Everywhere were images of Wang Sheng. He was stunned. Damn, is this guy really that strong? At this moment, you finally drew your sword, Wang Sheng's face unchanged. Looking at the opponent very quickly, the tip of the sword now was pointed straight at Tian Chuang's throat. He was so stunned he hadn't even processed what was happening. His expression still calm, looking at the opponent. Already yielded. This move of yours made everyone under the stands momentarily unable to breathe, especially your brothers all dumbfounded. Tian Chuang spoke. Big brother, don't get excited. I absolutely have no thoughts about your senior sister seeing the opponent raised his hand to surrender. You didn't make it difficult for him. The sword was quickly sheathed. Wang Sheng sheathed the sword, calmly praising the profound talisman arts learned then suddenly for some unknown reason. Tian Chuang hurriedly called you back. Wait, he stammered. Thang brother, I'm a bit dissatisfied. Can we fight another round? If not, later I will bother you like Lu Van Tree. Every day I will come to Vu Mountain to find you, to spar hearing this. You frowned, turned around, and looked at Tian Chuang helplessly, the elders of Long Ho Mountain. Why don't you control this guy? Chuang Tian saw you silent like that, again using flattery and begging tricks. Thang brother, later you will be my big brother, okay? Let's fight another round. This time if I lose quickly again. Then, later I absolutely won't mention sparring with you again, the crowd murmured. Only you win, others can't let others win you, right? Truly domineering brother, put the sword down. Sparring again will only cause more embarrassment. Seeing him so sincere, you finally agreed. All right then. Tian Chuang excitedly jumped up. Great. Immediately after, he quickly formed a seal and recited the talisman heart spell, the 5 elements returning to the body. Tiger, crane, twin restraint shield, talisman. Truong Tien thought if he didn't let him lose with conviction, he would probably continue to cling to me if so. You cunningly planned to first let him use full strength, then pour cold water on him at the same time. Tian Chuang excitedly said loudly, I'm ready now. Come on, this time he summoned 3 beasts at once, crane, tiger, and snake, all 3 with overwhelming aura, yet Wang Sheng only released 1 sword which simultaneously cut off the limbs of all 3 beasts. This had never happened before. Tian Chuang was momentarily stunned, mouth agape, looking at you. The 3 beasts represented fire, ice, and water, now simultaneously attacking. It looks like you are standing still, but no attack hits you. Tian Chuang's mind is constantly shaken. He panics and starts to vomit blood. But suddenly a strong wind quickly blows through, tearing the bag he carries, and all the talismans fly out. No one saw how he moved. All they know is that at this moment, Vuong Thang is behind Tian Chuang, and the wind just now was his sword aura. The elders below stare wide-eyed. That was a separated sword aura impossible. How old is that young man anyway? But immediately after that, the sword could not withstand it either. It shattered into pieces at his tip. Regretfully, he did not expect even Chu's senior brother's sword could not endure his true essence. Then he remembered and looked over. At this time, Truong Tien sadly squatted down on the ground, respectfully approached and humbly saluted Tian Chuang Dao Hu, then sadly said, Ung Long senior brother, sorry for damaging your treasured sword. The hero generously said, no need to be polite, this sword can be in your hands without regret. Shich Lin excitedly said, you defeated that Tian Chuang guy. Truly impressive. Immediately after, he walked over to Quan Hu Yen, who was still sitting there watching him. Wang Thang smiled gently at her senior sister. I won. She smiled brightly and raised her phone screen. The content inside was great job. He smiled happily, thanking senior sister for cheering him on. I think I played a bit recklessly today. But in the following days, I have to cultivate quietly in the mountains, so maybe it's okay. Suddenly, she noticed a gaze staring intently at him, so Quan Hu Yen aggressively covered Vuong Thang's face with her eyes, surprising him. Senior sister Tian Chuang frowned, holding her torn bag, looking at him as if about to cry. Everyone tensed up and raised their guard. Ung Long spoke up, Dao Hu of Long Ho's son. What else do you want? Vuong Thang stepped forward to speak for him. Everyone here just leave it to me. Then he directly approached Tian Chuang Dao Hu. Is there anything else? As soon as he saw him, Tian Chuang aggressively grabbed the torn bag and rushed through everyone. Seeing this scene, everyone was startled, thinking he would be retaliated against. Ung Long worriedly shouted, Fi Ngu, be careful. Contrary to everyone's expectations, he started crying loudly. Thank a big brother. Why didn't you just cut me down directly? Wouldn't that have settled it? Why did you cut my talisman? Vuong Thang looked dumbfounded at his reaction. Doesn't it seem just like a 3-year-old child? Tian Chuang kept complaining, the material for these black talismans is very expensive. One set cost me nearly 30,000. Suddenly, a foot aggressively stomped on him, silencing him. The annoyed man said, "All right, stop embarrassing yourself. Go back so the sect can compensate you with double the materials." Vuong Thang was startled. Senior Uncle Tien Chuang shamelessly said, "Or give me 10 sheets of gold paper to enhance fate." He punched this greedy disciple. "Damn it, I haven't even used that paper yet, let alone you. Hurry back and behave honestly or I'll confiscate all your magical weapons and disband you." Tien Chuang cried out, "This sword technique belongs to Thang Ka Thien. Thien will definitely recover it." The figure disappeared, but the voice still lingered. "At friend, let's eat together later." He breathed a sigh of relief, thinking after 3 opening matches of this exchange event, it finally got to the main point. "After many times on stage, I also regained my reputation. As Senior Uncle said, the whole venue is calmed down again. Next, I just need to quietly observe to get through the peaceful time of the event." 2 people behind whispered, "Dao Hu has reached the Kettai realm. Why not go first to find the little sword immortal to train a bit?" The other smiled bitterly and left. The young sect member hearing this, Vuong Thang suddenly understood, so maybe that's how it is. On this side, a fierce blue whirlwind swept like a storm. It turned out to be Quan Huyen's match. Her opponent was trapped inside. The terrifying power made. A fierce blue whirlwind swept through like a storm. It was the battle scene of Quan Huyen. Her opponent was trapped inside with terrifying power to the extent that it made the others dizzy, foaming at the mouth. But Quan Huyen's face looked somewhat sad, as if she had some worries. Under the stands, a man smiled brightly and stretched. The Taoist leader of Lao Sun's sect wanted to train Vuong Thang, who was full of pride. Indeed, the Tai realm was normally no match for Su Ti. Finally, when the whirlwind passed, it was also the moment the other person was thrown far away. Quan Huyen turned around and heard a loud thud from the other person. She slowly walked down from the stands under many admiring and amazed gazes following her. Vuong Thang quickly ran over, looking at her with a bright smile. "Su Tai, you're amazing." Her sad eyes looked at her junior apprentice brother. Then Quan Huyen sighed deeply. As if pushing all her worries out of her heart, she also gave him a bright smile, as if the anxieties she had before were just fleeting, like the wind and clouds around. Everyone covered their mouths, discussing how young they were and that it was already a great achievement. The elder truly was the real elder. Quan Huyen's face radiated with spirit as she proudly walked forward, ignoring the gossiping eyes of others. Recalling when they both went together, he held up a sign saying, "Living people do not come near. If anything happens, contact her junior brother." Vuong Thang felt guilty for making things difficult for his senior sister. Then he walked behind, thinking about the sects of the various families after today. They had found their own path. As long as the primal energy of heaven and earth maintained the existence of the great order of cultivation, it would come again. But this prosperous and peaceful era might not last long. The sect can bind disciples, but some evil cultivators corrupt cultivators or demon beasts. Entering the path of demon transformation make the path of cultivation easier. But how should the world handle the competition among these things? Because he was lost in thought, he walked much slower than Quan Huyen, who noticed Vuong Thang's strange behavior. She immediately turned around, looked at him, then quickly stepped forward and left. What's the point of thinking about these things? Use as much strength as you have. If the sky falls, someone above will hold it up. No matter what this path of cultivation. In the future, I can walk it with dignity. That's enough. He looked at everyone laughing and chatting happily, but couldn't help but think. Although he had gone through difficulties, the exchange conference had ended perfectly, and he had gained quite a lot from this event. Suddenly, a familiar voice rang out, "Thang, wait a moment." Hearing this, his shoulders trembled uncontrollably. Vuong Thang smiled wryly, sweating, then turned around to look at the others. "Is something wrong?" Tien Chuang excitedly took out his phone. "Add friend Super Idol, we talked about this before. Everyone will definitely meet more often in the future, so we should care more about each other." He happily urged, "Thang Ka, let's go down the mountain together. We can take this opportunity to talk." Vuong Thang reluctantly said, "All right, but I can't just leave those talismans lying around." Tien Chuang generously said, "No problem, no problem. Just let Senior Uncle help me find some materials then. I'll report fake numbers. Aren't those talismans worth a few thousand ween already?" Vuong Thang couldn't help but sigh. "You're really cruel." As everyone was preparing to leave, someone called out, "Wait for Ngu Dao, brother. Please go slower and wait for me." Van Tree stepped forward softly. Today, luckily, Senior Brother stepped in to teach that rogue a lesson. It made me feel very refreshed inside, so I had to run over to thank senior brother. Vuong Thang also happily bowed and then cheerfully replied, "No need for thanks." Thien Chuang showed disdain, saying, "Who listens to such refined talk nowadays? What era is this? Still calling each other senior brother, junior brother?" Van Tree angrily retorted loudly, "Better than your rude words!" Thien Chuang's mouth couldn't hold back anymore. A subordinate who's already defeated dares to cause trouble in front of me. The two quickly looked at each other with bullet-like eyes. Vuong Thang stood between them, coughing a few times, then quickly spoke to ease the situation. "Both of you must be hungry, right? Let's go down the mountain and eat something. I'll treat tonight." Thien Chuang babbled, "Thanks, Thang Ka, Liu Jr. sister, you're from here. Mausan, do you have any good restaurants?" Van Tree seemed about to breathe fire. Vuong Thang reassured, "Liu Senior Brother, calm down. At the conference, everyone represents their sects, so of course they have to be courteous." But after entering the dining hall, not long after everyone began to get familiar with each other, Vuong Thang naturally picked food for his senior sister and introduced Thien Chuang, who was the same age as him. Because of his childish personality, he was brought to Long Ho Mountain for supervision. Due to his extraordinary talent in talismans, he gained the demeanor he has today. Lu Van Tree was no stranger to him. After all, in his previous life, he was one of the 36 prodigies of the sect. Since childhood, he had gone up the mountain with his master to train in cultivation, combined with his extraordinary aura. Should have gained a large fan base online a few years ago, Lu Van Tree came to Long Ho Mountain to train, but was struck by the heavenly chapter, causing him to fall into a coma. After that, the two became enemies. Later, after achieving some cultivation success, he wanted revenge but encountered many difficulties which led to the scene we see today, where my senior sister and I have suppressed the jealousy of many sects at the Grand Assembly. The two of them were sent on a mission to make connections, which was quite reasonable, but of course I refused, so I was arrogant. However, the current Tao of the world should not be arrogant. It is better to quietly cultivate in this heat. That is the right path. A voice came from this side. The Mao Mountain sect has already delivered the footage from those 10 hours. Quickly bring the useful information from inside there. A girl was chosen to stand and watch the screen, speaking clearly. She was still leisurely holding a cup of hot tea in her hand, eyes never leaving the screens. Suddenly, a female staff member couldn't help but swear loudly. Perhaps something had agitated her. The girl wondered what was going on. The girl's face was very serious, her fingers continuously tapping. The team leader said, "Look, rewind the fight scene of Vuong Thang," then exclaimed, "Who is that, a sword immortal?" This sword technique only appears in movies. She glanced over once, then calmly took a sip of tea. "Who is he?" The person behind quickly reported this person's name is Vuong Thang Dao Hao Fi Ngu. Based on the information we overheard, that is the master's Tao name. He is a Qing Yanzi, reportedly already at the Taiji stage. Upon hearing this, the cup of tea in her hand suddenly fell and shattered loudly. "You said who is his master?" A few days after the Grand Assembly ended, Vuong Thang returned to the mountain. He anxiously advised his senior sister to walk slowly and be careful at the foot. Recalling the time at home, his mother couldn't help but be happy when she saw Quan Hu Yen, little Hu Yen. "I didn't expect you to have become so beautiful." His father whispered, "The little boy and your senior sister, how far along are they now? When will you prepare the birth ceremony for me?" He cunningly said, "Dad, rest assured, during the years to come I will take care of both of you holding the baby, that's why." Talking like this was because after the Grand Assembly ended, Uncle Lai specially allowed me to take a few days off to go home. It was also to reassure my parents a little, unfortunately recalling that terrifying night. He was tormented by a storm of messages with content like, "Brother Thang, where are you? Have you arrived home yet? Brother Thang, when will you come to our Long Ho Mountain?" Not seeing him reply, the messages became even more intense. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel exasperated. On the way, he even received some threatening messages from someone. Everyone around the mountain couldn't help but be excited when they saw the two. "Isn't that Faingu senior brother and Batingu senior sister? I heard from Ung Long senior brother that they were very formidable at the Grand Assembly." According to your story, Chu Ung Long senior brother, they had already returned to the mountain several days ago. In recent days, the story of the Grand Assembly had spread throughout Vodang Mountain. Now all the Taoist halls in the mountain knew about my and my senior sister's cultivation, but I still wouldn't, so Cao Cao is supreme. After all, both sides are people in the Taoist path. Even though in the previous life I was still looked down upon by those masters, I don't want to become that kind of evil cultivator. Yan Zi had been waiting for them beforehand. For some reason, his gaunt and hollow face was clearly visible. As soon as Vuong Thang and Quan Huyen arrived, they immediately knelt and bowed. "Our master has returned," he said. You two stop for a moment. Yan Zitao, your trip to Mao Mountain this time. Didn't I remind you to be a little humble?" Quan Huyen was scared and quickly hid behind Vuong Thang. Vuong Thang reluctantly explained, "Master, there are reasons for everything." Although his expression was serious when he said this, he couldn't help but laugh heartily, clutching his stomach. Yan Zi was satisfied and looked at him. "Well done. Although we are guests of Vodang Mountain, not belonging to the Tao successor of the true martial emperor, you are still considered cultivators of Vodang Mountain. This time you did not embarrass the master, but next time you should return home. Continue to cultivate peacefully in the mountain. Yesterday, junior brother Lai brought some things. Among them, 2 items are not bad. Consider them rewards for you two on this trip. Master still has to go to Tai Hoa for discussions. Tonight I will bring food back for you two," Vuong Thang said loudly. "Yes, master," he replied. Watching Yan Zi's back, he couldn't help but be surprised. Only a few days, but it feels like master is about to break through again. He looked very ordinary, but was an extremely talented person. If he hadn't lived a previous life, he probably wouldn't have discovered the master's talent. He looked at the pile of gifts and couldn't help but think that perhaps it was because of the gratitude for his efforts at the exchange conference that Master Li Tui No had specially prepared quite a few gifts for him and his senior sister. Among them, the gifts prepared for him clearly showed considerable thought. Quan Huyen seemed to really like the new outfit, so he quickly took out the sword to try it. This ancient sword from Uyen looked very ordinary. But when used, one would realize that the sword contained a clear meaning. It was a specialized sword forged for weapon crafting without the mystique like the golden armor or jade robe of Lu Van Tri. The moon jade pendant of Thi Tien Chuang, although a precious item, was not a top-grade treasure. If it was the reward for this trip to Mao Sun, it was considered not bad at all. After trying on the good items, he quickly brought them to Quan Huyen to show his senior sister. "Look at this sword," she said, picking it up and carefully observing every detail on it. Her hand lightly brushed over the blade, but she still did not look pleased and shook her head to signal that this item would not be suitable to use. Vuong Thang quickly understood her intention. He immediately reassured his senior sister. "Don't worry, I don't intend to use it for killing. The swordmaster slaughters senior sister." She was worried that the sword might affect his Taoist heart, so she happily handed him a piece of jade. Vuong Thang was startled. "Senior sister, I already have this sword." "The jade pendant of the spirit-calming soul," she said. "Of course it's for senior sister." It seemed she was very determined to give it to him, then she pressed something on her phone. Lao Tzu, the undefeated under heaven. He awkwardly refused. No, I can't accept it." "This is a gift from senior uncle to senior sister. How can I take it?" Quan Huyen teared up looking at him. It seemed tears worked immediately, and then he quickly ran away. "Senior sister, wait for me a moment." Quan Huyen looked at him in confusion as he quickly returned, still hiding something behind his back, his expression shy. Vuong Thang stammered. "I was originally waiting for senior sister's birthday to give you a gift, but now I'm giving it to you early." He shyly handed the item to his senior sister. "If you give me a gift, I have to accept the gift I give you." Quan Huyen happily pressed the flute against her cheek, showing her delight. Her face couldn't help but blush. Transition to a few days later. After handling everything, our Taoist cultivation life returned to peace. Now what I needed to do was to raise my realm to the conception stage within a year, feeling the sensation of fasting. Then, less than a month after we returned to the mountain, a certain sect leader with an oily face came to our small courtyard. Transition to a peaceful morning, a loud shout rang out. Your senior uncle looked shocked and pale. He shouted loudly and ran into the hall. "Dangon to senior brother, a demon harmed someone, please help." Hearing the word demon, both he and Quan Huyen's faces paled a little. "At night in your sect." The scene here was very quiet and peaceful, with intertwining clouds and mountains, very picturesque. You were sleeping when suddenly you vaguely woke up, turning around to see Quan Huyen lying next to you. Vuong Thang was confused. "What exactly is going on here?" He startled and sat up, his face involuntarily blushing. "Why is senior sister sleeping here?" Her hand was still tightly holding Vuong Thang's robe. When he suddenly sat up, she also woke up. Suddenly awakened, she couldn't help but frown. Vuong Thang felt guilty. "Senior sister, did I disturb you?" Outside, the wind blowing through the door made loud noises, causing Quan Huyen to shrink back. Vuong Thang anxiously asked, "Senior sister, were you scared by the wind?" Immediately after, Vuong Thang pulled the blanket up and hugged her, comforting her. "Don't be afraid, go to sleep. I have to get up early tomorrow and set off." Only then did Quan Huyen's eyebrows relax a bit. He patted her back to help her sleep better. The reason she was like this was because after Senior Uncle arrived during the day, Senior Sister had always been like that. I really didn't expect it. Recalling that moment, Senior Uncle was delighted and thanked everyone for helping catch the demon. Quan Huyen was scared and hid behind me. Returning to the present, Vuong Thang smiled bitterly. "Senior Sister is a conception stage cultivator but is afraid of demons. I heard from Master that back then he wanted Senior Sister to start talking, so he used a treatment method that involved stimulating her by telling demon stories. As a result, Senior Sister almost became mute. At the same time, she developed an illness that could scare Senior Sister to such a fearful extent. At the same time, also falling into an illness that could scare Su Tai to such fear. What kind of powerful medicine did Su Fu use back then? But at this moment, comforting a frightened and worried Su Tai is also a responsibility that a junior apprentice brother should immediately undertake. The next morning, they quickly set off. A large car was parked right in front of the door and started moving. After a while, the car finally stopped in front of a house with wooden doors looking very nostalgic. Su Thuk looked at this place, emotions flooding back. It had been so many years since he last returned. Ung Long glanced at Fingu. "You are quite well prepared, aren't you? This time he was sent to replace that ghost-fearing girl." Vuong Thang laughed loudly, saying, "Just be cautious. What if it's a foreign ghost? What should we do then?" Remembering all these things were prepared by Quan Huyen at that time. "You looked confused, Senior Sister. How could you invite Jesus and Buddha to such a pure land?" Thinking of this, you couldn't help but sigh helplessly, but this represents Senior Sister's concern for me. How could I dare to throw it away? The door slowly opened, and a voice from inside said, "Old Man 2 has finally returned." The tired old man stepped out of the house. A ghost causing destruction and torment ending up looking like that. Master Uncle spoke, "Big brother, it's not me, I'm back now." "Why?" Ung Long's eyes widened. So this was Master Uncle Vuong Thang's secular home. Thinking about it, no wonder Master Uncle always hid this place. It seemed to hold quite a bit of power and conspiracy. Vuong Thang introduced, "Before setting up the altar, we should know that Master Uncle's big brother is named Li Tui Tien because he has been investing in Vodang for years." Vodang also tacitly accepted our exorcism here. Master Uncle began standing in front of the altar making hand seals and reciting the sacred Nam Puong invocation, knowing heaven and earth. You looked at him, unable to hide your curiosity. The thing that intrigued you most was, Master Uncle obviously has such a large estate. Why did he choose to become a monk and cultivate the Tao? Could it be that he encountered some misfortune, so he is indifferent to worldly matters? Meanwhile, Master Uncle was still focused on his work. He threw the sword into the sky, golden light shining brightly. Around him, he loudly chanted, "Left and right protectors." The speed of exterminating the left demon here, the altar also glowed because of his spiritual power. You recall that before chasing away the ghost master, Uncle had already discussed it with us. Ahead was just setting up the altar. But Ung Long and Senior Brother were the real owners going to exterminate the ghosts arranged like this. Mainly so that those around would better understand that Taoist cultivation only stops at some movies. Although all the work was done by the disciples, the achievements and honor belonged to the master. As soon as the door opened, a stream of dark purple aura quickly poured out. Vuong Thang's face became serious indeed. There was something wrong. The demonic aura from that room became more and more intense, like a whirlwind from the dark room. 2 pairs of red eyes appeared fiercely staring at you. Vuong Thang quickly made a hand seal and recited the invocation of the 5 stars to suppress the dark light illuminating the 5 heavens demons. The spirit-body destruction form immediately obeyed the command. A strong aura burst from you, shooting straight into the room. The light and power swept through like a storm. Wherever you went, those dark purple shadows retreated. The room was cleaned in an instant. You stood firm there, a bit scared. After finishing, you immediately went out and closed the door. Before leaving, you didn't forget to say, "Infinite Heavenly Lord Ung Long and I quickly reunited." He spoke, "I encountered more than 20 wandering souls." Vuong Thang replied, "Almost the same." Ung Long was puzzled. Unless the feng shui arrangement was counterproductive or someone Vuong Thang was cautious spraying the wall, there was someone. You planned to ignore this first. Go find Master Uncle to gather no matter what. This is also Master Uncle's home. If there really is someone behind this game, we cannot just stand by and watch. It seemed like a secret was being hidden that couldn't be explained in a few words. On this side, your Master Uncle was still performing the exorcism ritual. Everyone stood solemnly, silently observing him, thinking, isn't it just chasing away ghosts? Why has it taken so long and they still haven't returned? Are those two trustworthy? He raised the sword to the sky until his hand trembled. From afar, the servant quickly shouted, "They are back! They have returned! They have returned!" From afar, Ong Long and Wong Thang quickly approached, seeing the last person had returned. Su Thuk then breathed a sigh of relief and turned to look at Dai Ka, saying, "Sorry to trouble you. Please prepare a quiet room for the three of us so we can temporarily recover our spirits." Gui Tian quickly responded, "Understood." Night quickly fell. The three were arranged a quiet and cozy room. He spoke, "Su Thuk, we went around and encountered dozens of evil spirits. I suspect there are other cultivators causing trouble." Su Thuk was silent, stroking his beard thoughtfully. "Other cultivators. This time it will be troublesome. You seriously consider that your knowledge now is a bit broader than Master's, and naturally you also know some dark sides in the immortal realm like today's matter. Perhaps it is because the Li family's wealth attracted the attention of some evil cultivators. Or maybe it's because Li Shuishan offended someone, leading to evil cultivators seeking revenge. The elder asked you, Fa Yu, according to your thoughts, what should we do? You calculated and suddenly exposed the truth, fearing it would make the opponent panic. Ying Long proposed a countermeasure. Let's do it like this. Wang Sheng was excited, so that's how it is. A good idea, a good idea. Also that same night. Half an hour later, the surroundings were still pitch dark. The two brothers and Master took a walk in the courtyard. You asked your second brother if he had made any enemies in recent years. Shuishan said he had been staying at home recently and hadn't offended anyone. Master pressed him to think carefully. Now someone wants to harm our whole family, but he still firmly denied it. You were meditating in your room and accidentally overheard this conversation. Shuishan continued saying he had never done anything shameful in his life except for that year. You wondered if the Li family had done something shameful that year. Wang Sheng opened his eyes and thought about the feng shui of Master's manor. These were all matters from previous years. Could these matters be related? The next morning, everyone quickly left. Master said, "Big brother, if the evil spirits have been eliminated, we should return to the mountain to await orders. If there is anything else, inform us." Shuishan was happy and said, "Old second, luckily you were here this time." At midnight, the scene was at Master's big brother's house. The atmosphere was extremely quiet all around. In the Li family manor, Ying Long whispered to Fi Yu, "How much longer do we have to wait?" You gently said, "Maybe until midnight when the yang energy is weakest. That's when the evil cultivators and ghosts are most confident. Li Shuishan's career is significant. There is a nanny and also security. Plus a set of cameras with no blind spots. You recalled if that's the case. The evil spirits we eliminated today were about 7 to 10. Clearly this is not something that can be done in a day or two. If there is an outsider causing trouble, there would be no reason to leave no trace. Therefore, releasing the culprit might be an insider." Ying Long quickly realized, so that's how it is. That's why during the day we pretended to leave here. At night we come back to wait patiently like a hunter. Is that so? Although it's just talk. The intention of the person releasing the ghosts can be said to be very cruel. The kind who uses evil spirits to drain yang energy, a wicked cult wiping out the whole family, truly unforgivable. Ying Long whispered, "Does waiting here have any effect? If it's an insider you calculated, it would be hard to avoid, and the long night is full of dreams. They might act tonight." Immediately after, you quickly sat upright, focused your internal energy, and circulated your qi. You calculated now to see who among us is more patient. Then your power quickly spread throughout the Li family courtyard. Ying Long was stunned. Unexpectedly, Fa Yu's spiritual sensing could cover the entire manor. Not to mention your cultivation is now lower than his. Even if at the same level, I probably couldn't do it. Thinking this, he quickly drew his sword. If that's the case, I will go protect Fa Yu. Very soon, you sensed a strange breath. Wang Sheng focused intensely and saw a figure walking ahead toward the pavilion where Li Cultivator was resting. A guard was sneaking around stealthily. Holding a flashlight and looking around cunningly, seeing no one nearby, he took a tiny copper vial from his pocket and drew blood. He recited the incantation, "Yin ghost sound, no peace, no birth in the direction of the inch. Heaven always watches, surely there will be retribution." Reading this, he quickly dripped the blood into the vial. Immediately, a shadow gradually emerged from it. He fiercely looked toward Li Shuishan's room. "Ah, Li Shuishan, I didn't expect you to invite people from Wu to exorcise ghosts." Then his face turned fierce. "If that's the case, don't blame me for dealing with this quickly and cleanly." Saying this, he and the green ghost slowly entered inside. He quickly stood in front of Shuishan's room. The green ghost aggressively tried to rush in, but a yellow light appeared, making that demon momentarily fear the bodyguard, who immediately recognized Vo Tui Tian's talisman and had indeed prepared defenses. He cunningly thought that although the talisman could ward off demons, could it also protect against a living person like himself at that moment. From behind, Vuong Thang quickly drew his sword and closed in, startling him. He quickly leapt up to dodge while the demon behind also lunged toward him. Vuong Thang's sword shattered the wooden door of Track Courtyard. The demon aggressively tried to strike him, but Vuong Thang quickly disappeared. At the same time, Vuong Thang leapt up, wielding his sword, and swiftly slashed at the demon. Suddenly, a flash of light appeared in his mind, causing Vuong Thang to hesitate. Unfortunately, the sword slash passed through without affecting it at all. He fiercely swung his hand down when suddenly sounds of a scuffle came from Tui Tian's room. This startled Vuong Thang. A warning flashed in his mind, then he quickly kicked toward the demon using momentum. He flew toward the direction of the elder's room. Inside, Li Laojia had just woken up from a deep sleep, and the bodyguard, seeing him, fiercely glared. "Li Tui Tian is dead." As soon as he said that, he lunged forward to strangle the elder, but swords from outside pierced through, blocking the attack, leaving the bodyguard stunned. He leapt away to dodge the strike. Vuong Thang's figure quickly stood outside the door at the same time. He fired 3 shadow arrows straight at Tui Tian, who was still dazed, but luckily Vuong Thang managed to deflect the 3 arrows away. Vuong Thang immediately recognized that the arrows carried evil yin energy. If even a little touched the elder's face, it would be hard to save him from death. He quickly formed a seal and shouted loudly, "Disciple Vo, don't meddle in this dirty business." Vuong Thang fiercely glared at him. "Eliminate the evil demon harming innocent people, or else," he shouted, "if you want to stop me." Then he rushed toward Vuong Thang with a very fierce face. The bodyguard attacked while loudly chanting, "Talisman of the 5 heavenly demons, destroy the demon's body and form immediate command." As soon as he finished speaking, the blue demon earlier aggressively charged into the room. Its target was not Vuong Thang, but Tui Tian, unclear what he did to earn such hatred. He wondered why this person would rather hold him back than let the demon seize Li Tui Tian's life. What grudge did they have between them? He shouted loudly, continuing the incantation. "Command the demon 5 stars, restraining light, illuminate the mysterious bright heavenly spirit. 10,000 saints, protect the true spirit for me." As he spoke, the demon quickly charged forward. Vuong Thang quickly used his sword to block in front of Tui Tian, radiating an imposing aura that made him instinctively cover his face. Vuong Thang's earlier calculations detected something unusual. So he came here first. Senior brother Ung Long probably noticed it too and was also on his way here, if that's the case. "Before senior brother arrives, I will hold back 1 person and 1 demon." He formed a hand seal and shouted loudly, "Disciple Vo, if you want to meddle in this dirty business, then I will send you to die first." Without finishing, he quickly ordered the demon to attack. Vuong Thang didn't back down and swiftly leapt toward it. 5 stars, restraining light, illuminate the mysterious bright heavenly spirit. 10,000 saints, protect the true spirit, he chanted while striking barehanded, which surprisingly caused the demon some difficulty. Then Truong Tian continued shouting, raising his long sword high. 5 heavenly demons destroy the demon's body and form immediate command. Meanwhile, the bodyguard held a jar and chanted, "Yin demon, cease movement inch by inch." At this time, the demon had already been slashed through the middle by Vuong Thang. Its body quickly cracked open, revealing a deep fissure. At the same time, the jar in the bodyguard's hand shattered loudly, causing him some panic. Vuong Thang worked in a way to eradicate the root, quickly firing 3 shadow arrows at him. The man quickly collapsed to the ground. His demon also couldn't hold on and quickly dissipated. Although defeated, he was not dead yet, so Vuong Thang remained cautious. Standing in front of the elder, his whole body radiated a strong, murderous aura. He muttered under his breath, allowing his soul to merge into his body, unleashing his divine power. Meanwhile, the demon over there, after he recited that incantation, it seemed to become even more ferocious. Vuong Thang felt something was wrong when he did that. He silently lamented in his heart, "It's over." The bodyguard laughed maniacally at Li Tui-Tien, saying he wanted your whole family to die without a grave. My 3 blood brothers have suffered for over 15 years, and finally I have avenged everyone. From within him, the tear demon gave birth to many skulls and human bones looking extremely eerie. Vuong Thang was startled, wondering how many souls this evil cultivator had used to forge such a tear demon. Behind him, the sound of Ong Long calling Fingu quickly gathered the bodyguards outside, shouting loudly, "Fingu, are you all right, younger brother?" He quickly embraced Tui Tien and leapt out the window. The senior brother, Vuong Thang, then threw himself down, instructing to protect Li Kusi well and to keep Li family members away from this place. Ong Long quickly caught the old man and warned, "Got it, brother, you must be careful too." At this moment, Vuong Thang slashed a few times at the tear demon to probe it, but it showed no signs of injury. He thought Van Oyen Kim Truong is not skilled in ghost-killing artifacts. Their effectiveness against this kind of soul demon is limited. It's not as effective as using talismans like Titien Chuang Liu Van Tri. Thinking of this, he quickly remembered right talismans. While dodging the tear demon's attacks, he looked at Ong Long and shouted loudly, "Fi Ungu senior brother's talismans, Tui Thien, remember the talismans. Hurry, get some talismans from elsewhere and bring them here." He exhaled, thinking if he couldn't kill it by slashing, he would at least wear it down until it died. He began to dart swiftly forward, wielding the 7-star sword. Vuong Thang continued to dodge nimbly. Making the tear demon confused, he shouted loudly, "7-star sword formation." In his mind, he invoked a spell to drain soul power. A strong aura flared up surrounding his body. At the same time, Ong Long quickly threw items over and shouted, "Fingu, catch it!" He quickly advanced, grabbed the talisman in his hand, calculated, then used the ghost exorcising talisman. Yellow talismans flew out rapidly from the bag. At this moment, around Vuong Thang, it seemed like a rain of talismans appeared. Vuong Thang cleverly controlled his sword aura combined with the ghost exorcising talismans. The aggressive talismans flew straight at the tear demon. All the talismans stuck to its body and then continuously burned, creating a large, blazing fire. It was scorching. The tear demon kept screaming wildly. Seeing the demon thrashing and howling like that, he thought silently, "The talismans really are effective. The evil cultivator inside the tower has lost his mind. Otherwise, the tear demon wouldn't have released Li Kusi. No matter if that's the case, just keep draining it. The tear demon will definitely be destroyed." From outside, everyone observed but couldn't grasp the situation inside, only seeing talismans flying around the tower, continuously glowing. Suddenly, a loud voice from outside quickly rang out. "Where is the ruthless murderer? Police are coming in." "We received a report. Police, someone is causing trouble for Elder Lai. Where is the criminal now?" Vuong Thang panicked, shouting loudly, "Senior brother, block them. Don't let them get involved in this." "Give me 15 more minutes. This thing won't last long." Tui Tien stepped forward anxiously. "Comrade, there really is a demon. I'm not lying to you." The police thought the old man was senile. "Hey, old man, what era is this? Where would there be ghosts and demons?" At the same time, Ong Long darted like a ghost in front of the police officer. The officer startled, pointing his gun at him, shouting loudly, "Who are you?" He smiled the most peaceful smile. "Officer, my junior brother just needs 20 minutes to deal with that tear demon." "Don't rush, I'm struggling to think what to do now. I look like a scam gangster." The police felt foolish. "I think you're tricking this old man." "You guys guard the door, the others follow me inside. Don't let his accomplices escape." Ong Long dashed forward like the wind. "Officers, please listen to me." He was silent, then raised his hand to show his badge to the other officers. Immediately after, he pointed his gun at Ong Long and aimed to shoot. The old Tui Tien stepped forward to explain, "Comrade, this man really is the Taoist leader of Vo Mountain." The police still didn't believe the old man. Some said you can't trust anyone casually. Ong Long still tried to hold him back. Junior brother said so. "No one can enter inside. I'm determined. Junior brother is exorcising the demon inside." Immediately after, he aimed the gun at Ong Long and fired. Lao Tui Tien stepped forward to explain, "Comrade, this person really is the Taoist leader of Mount Vo." The police officer still did not believe the old master. Some people cannot be trusted easily. Ong Long still tried to hold him back. The junior apprentice brother said, "We cannot let others inside. I am determined. The junior apprentice brother is exorcising inside. As a senior apprentice brother, I must do something to show my brother." He seemed quite troubled. The police did not want to argue further, so they took out their guns and pointed them straight at Ung Long's forehead. He coldly ordered, "Obstructing official duties, arrest him immediately." The subordinates quickly shouted loudly and explained a bit because the primal energy recovery the Chinese government ordered the police to actively carry guns. The special situation allows shooting. The police quickly handcuffed Ung Long. He helplessly thought and walked away. Just let them go in there to broaden their horizons. So, the whole group quickly entered the place of Vuong Thang to start investigating. Suddenly, when he entered, he saw soldiers sitting on the ground, all trembling continuously. He wondered why everyone was trembling. The team leader looked in the direction the subordinate pointed and saw Vuong Thang concentrating on fighting the Lequi. He was confused. Were there really ghosts? That demon roared fiercely, then lifted a large rock and threw it at the police. He and his soldiers could only stand dumbfounded, watching the rock rush toward them. Suddenly, a figure rushed toward the police. Ung Long quickly removed the handcuffs gently and escaped. He was now standing in front of the police. He used his internal energy to block the large rock. Ung Long skillfully reached out and gently caught it, then lightly threw the rock far away. Within moments, Vuong Thang looked over and instructed the police officers. The Lequi was hot-tempered and hoped everyone wouldn't provoke or stimulate it. The police and Imperial soldiers witnessing this scene. Everyone was stunned, mouths agape. One of them whispered to the team leader, "This is beyond our handling scope. What should we do?" He still kept silent. "Why be afraid? Just report the situation to headquarters. Others stay here and cooperate with the Taoist priest inside to deal with the Lequi. Proceed to shoot. Quickly stop it. Normal bullets won't harm the Lequi." How could that not provoke its ferocity? Hearing this, the police chief was a bit confused. "Then what should we do?" Vuong Thang explained that the Lequi belonged to yin energy, so to eliminate it, they needed some yang energy items. "Can you find some rooster blood here?" "Better if it's black rooster blood." One of them hurriedly said, "I'll go get it immediately." Soon after, the Lequi continued attacking Vuong Thang. He quickly dodged while keeping distance, but at this moment, a big problem occurred with Vuong Thang. He had used up all his talismans at once. Ung Long quickly threw the bags of blood and shouted loudly, "Junior brother, get out of the way!" Hearing this, Vuong Thang quickly turned to dodge the blood bags, which all flowed directly onto the Lequi. It quickly began to dissolve. The Lequi screamed in pain. The police cheered joyfully. "Rooster blood really works." Then it angrily turned toward Ung Long. He panicked. "It's coming toward us!" Ung Long quickly drew his sword, focused his internal energy, and loudly recited the spell Chan Vodang Mahonga Pap Than. He calculated that the Lequi was severely injured by the rooster blood and only needed to block one attack. Ung Long trusted his junior brother very much that Fingu would definitely have a way to kill this Lequi after that close combat strike. Both Ung Long and the Lequi were thrown back. The police chief and Imperial soldiers quickly caught him. After the clash with the Lequi, he was severely injured and trembling. Fa Ngu then leaned on him. He quickly leapt forward to stand in front of everyone with a very determined expression. "Let me handle this." Vuong Thang raised his sword in front of him and recited, "Pu tien dia hu chin, ki tap nien pu lu hin hatak vi hanak thuong tak vi nat tin." At that moment, a flash of light appeared, making the Lequi unable to bear it and cover its face. Then he pointed the sword at it and continued the spell Dap Tien Kukwa Tien Toan Lam Tien Koduak Tien Kuyen. The Lequi was attacked relentlessly and was temporarily unable to respond. A painful sensation surged. Vuong Thang landed in a stance. Ngokwan Chuyen Kai Duong Kiem Din Jiao Kwang That Tin Chu Ma. His eyes showed a fierce gleam. Facing such monsters, Vuong Thang was always serious and highly focused. His whole body was covered with slash marks from his sword energy. It couldn't help but tremble and stand dumbfounded. Finally, its entire body couldn't withstand and exploded, lighting up the sky. Its 4 limbs shattered into many small pieces, flying everywhere, making everyone cover their faces. Finally, the battle was over. Ung Long was supported on the shoulders of soldiers. The police chief was busy directing everyone to clean up the aftermath. He looked at him and couldn't help but praise Fa Ngu, "Well done." "You still didn't answer." The sword in your hand suddenly fell heavily to the ground. It seemed like you used too much internal force, making you momentarily unable to endure it. Gradually falling down, Ung Long worriedly disregarded his injured body and stepped forward to support his junior brother, unable to help but shout loudly. Han Fingu's eyes gradually closed. Ung Long kept asking Han Fingu, "How are you?" In the end, he still couldn't hold on and fainted. Vuong Thang recounted that the demon was eliminated and he fainted because his vital energy was exhausted. Although he was not unconscious for long after waking up, he felt a bit more energetic. After adjusting his state, he gradually recovered from the great battle. I also gained unexpected benefits. Now standing at the door of the conception stage, it seems this trip was not in vain. While concentrating on circulating internal force and adjusting his body's health, suddenly his room door rang. Vuong Thang quickly went out to open it and wondered if the two had any business. The blushing girl stammered, "Vuong Thang Dao Truong, I am a member of the special investigation team sent to deal with the demon that harms people. The man beside me with a fierce face is..." The Great Ox, also a member of the special investigation team. He wondered if the two came to ask about the demon harming people. Mao Ye shyly said, "Before we talk, can we speak privately?" "Can we talk privately for a moment?" He could not refuse. Immediately after, Vuong Thang was stunned, overly excited, thinking, I can actually meet a living sword immortal idol. The way he uses the sword is really cool. "Can I get your autograph? Can I take a photo together?" "Can I put my hand on your shoulder?" he asked bluntly. "So you two came to find me just to take pictures?" Realizing he had been a bit rude, she coughed a few times and then seriously spoke about the main topic. "Actually, our team leader wants to talk to you. Someone will call you via video later. I will wait outside. After you finish the call, just call me in." The video call started. Vuong Thang couldn't help but wonder why the team leader of the special investigation team would contact him directly. As soon as he picked up the person on the other end, made him extremely surprised to the point of shouting loudly, "What, Master Vuong Thang?" He recalled the past. It was the first Double Ninth Festival after he ascended the mountain. His master had taken him to drink, saying, "Little Thang, when you want to marry, just marry. When you want to have children, just have them. As long as you are devoted to your wife, that's enough." He was very puzzled and seriously asked his master why he suddenly mentioned this. In his drunken state, his master sadly recounted that he once loved a girl but was opposed by the children's master. He originally wanted to ask his master, but the girl was straightforward, and then disappeared. For decades, she was silent. That girl was his lifelong obsession. This was the letter she had someone send to him last year, and only then did his master know. It turned out he still had a child about the same age as them, a girl who had suffered many hardships outside for years. Remembering this, he stared blankly at the person on the phone screen, then quickly calmed down and called her master. The person sighed as if memories from years ago flooded back and said, "What can you call me? I have something I want to ask you to help with. Can you tell your master for me? Tell him if he still cares about his daughter, he should come to meet me quickly." He quickly got to the point. "Master, little junior sister, have you encountered some monks pestering you?" "I will call the master right away." At that moment, he quickly took out his phone to call him and didn't forget to turn on the speaker. Vuong Thang cunningly thought that as long as they talked directly, the master would definitely have a way to save the soul of the master. But life is not as dreamed. The voice on the other end was mechanical. "Sorry, the number you dialed is unreachable." Vuong Thang stammered, "Well, master, maybe the signal is bad. I will contact senior sister. Please don't rush." She gently agreed. Sorry to trouble you, little Thang." He quickly replied, "Master, don't be polite. I will call the video later." On the other side, he immediately sent a message to Quan Huyen's senior sister. "Where did master go?" She said she left a letter and ran away. Without a word. "I will take a photo of the letter for the disciples to see. I will take a photo of the letter for the disciples to see." The content of the letter is that Tiu Thang and Tiu Huyen, as junior apprentices, are about to ascend to the Golden Core stage and must go to Southeast Mountain to seclude for a while. After returning, they will teach you all again. He smiled wryly, sweating secretly. Master, is this the lonely fate of a cultivator? The timing of the Ascension opportunity is also too coincidental. Vuong Thang sighed deeply thinking of this, then recounted the matter to Quan Huyen Suti. Everything is just like that. After a while, he stormed out with a dark face. Mao Nguye quickly approached Dao Truong Vuong and asked, "Have you all finished talking?" Vuong Thang said again, "This time my senior sister will also participate. We will return to Vo Mountain to pick her up." Upon hearing this, Batengu Tiantu was excited and speechless. The immortal also joins the action. "That's great, so when will we depart?" Vuong Thang thought since the master's wife and daughter had some trouble, the senior sister obviously would not stand by idly. "But the master's wife proactively contacted us. Looks like there's some trouble. But no matter how dangerous it is, I will rescue the junior sister." Two police cars stopped in front, exchanging information with Mao Nuye for a while. Then she reported the situation to Dao Truong Vuong. That cultivator has been subdued by us. He won't have the chance to harm others anymore. Next, we will go back to Vo Mountain to pick up. Bat Ngu Tien Tu said a little about the hatred of that evil cultivator. According to intelligence provided by Mao Nguye, the 3 security guards and the eldest brother have already died because that area belongs to the Lai family, so the revenge target was placed on the Lai family members. Suddenly, Mao Nguye shouted in panic, "He's dead!" Vuong Thang asked why. She continued, "Our colleagues just contacted us. The security guard with the yin music tattoo is dead." While speaking, she handed the phone to Vuong Thang. Looking at his corpse was extremely horrifying and strange. Vuong Thang examined it for a while. This kind of death. Could this poisonous insect be the cause? He saw a glowing yin-yang bagua seal near the dead man's wrist. At this moment, Vuong Thang realized it was indeed them. He guessed the security guard probably died from the yin-yang blood-devouring insect, a kind of poisonous insect that is both yin and yang. They resonate with each other. Ancient books record that they can poison people, enhance spiritual awareness, or even kill from thousands of miles away. Mao Nguye panicked. Is it real or fake? He zoomed in on the photo. There's also this mark. It looked like a Tai Chi pattern, but actually wasn't. It's likely the emblem of the organization behind him. Everyone can investigate from here. Vuong Thang analyzed the yin-yang ancient Tai Chi pattern and the magical weapon Ding Mu that I destroyed before. These 3 are enough to prove that some large-scale evil cultivator organization is behind this. Everyone must quickly contact the major immortal sects. Mao Nguye urged Dao Truong Vuong, wait a moment. I will inform my colleagues immediately. Vuong Thang frowned, thinking, in the end, is it related to the secret of my past life? I can't be completely sure. But I hope this time we can be cautious. After all this time we are facing, in my past life, the evil cultivator organization that overturned the world was the Yin-Yang sect. The next day, everyone quickly drove into the city where tall buildings stood close together. Mao Nguye couldn't help but admire Bat Ngu Tien Tu on the way. She really is beautiful. Her body is also very nice. Her skin is white, truly flawless. Vuong Thang smiled brightly and explained, Senior sister, she is a subordinate of the master's wife, not a bad person. On the way, he learned the true identity of the special investigation team from Mao Nguye, the team leader. Has everyone arranged anything yet? The girl murmured with a wounded heart, not a bad person. Vuong Thang recalled the ancient martial world where martial arts were forbidden and magic was used to overthrow civilization and cultivate immortality. Now, in the secular world of Huang Thin, of course, a special organization is needed to maintain worldly order. Mao Nguye answered, dismissing his thoughts. There is no specific order yet. But from the intelligence, it seems this event involves cultivators, so it makes sense for us to set out. According to his story, this is a special investigation team led by the master's wife. It is also one of the privileged units established by China, targeting the cultivation world, specializing in supervising the cultivation world and mediating conflicts between the cultivation world and the secular world. Dai Ngu spoke up. Inside there is also the team leader's biological daughter. Tu Dao Truong, don't pay attention if possible. Vuong Thang calmly replied, it's okay. This event is also personal for us. After all, it's not only the team leader's daughter, but also our junior sister. Dai Ngu was surprised. Junior sister could it be? Dao Truong Thandangon Tu and Mao Nguye's eyes shone brightly. No way. You are unbelievable. Vuong Thang is a bit scared. The two drivers drove safely, and after a while, everyone arrived at Mao Nguye to meet Master Tia Vuong Dao. This place is our mission location. You're welcome. It was hard work. You and Quan Hu Yen quickly got off the car, then just leave it to us. Vuong Thang recounted that according to intelligence, there were cultivators sneaking into the university campus. Using secret transmission to spread cultivation methods, the junior sister is one of the students who was lured in. Mao Nguye instructed Master Vuong, we will try to ensure everyone's safety. If you encounter danger, please protect yourself. Vuong Thang quickly replied, I understand. According to your thoughts, the primordial energy of heaven and earth has just recovered. Cultivation is still a secret to the outside world. If cultivation is publicized outside now, it's hard to say there's no other conspiracy. Their mission now is to disguise as a couple to enter the school and investigate the whereabouts of the opposing cultivators. To rescue the junior sister at the same time, Quan Hu Yen sent a message to Potato. Potato received it and replied. Vuong Thang quickly answered, Sister, what's the situation? She said that in the junior sister's room, residual primal energy was detected, possibly caused by a talisman. What should be done next? Vuong Thang calculated temporarily, don't stir up trouble if possible. Create an opportunity to get to know the junior sister a bit. He looked at the photo in his hand. Sister has also entered character playing is fun too. Sweet Potato received the message. Quan Huyen left a note. Potato, be careful and hide. Briefly, the junior sister's name is Tri Van. She is a second-year student. According to Manhwa's documents, it seems there are cultivators sneaking into the university to proselytize. The junior sister is also one of those deceived. Because of this, she even had conflicts with the master and severed ties, probably for this reason. The master had to contact the teacher, hoping he can help rescue the junior sister at the school. Vuong Thang approached her and whispered, Sister, how is the plan to start a conversation coming along? Quan Huyen nodded mechanically. Maybe too many people are paying attention, making her a bit uncomfortable. Vuong Thang comforted her. Don't be too pressured, she is the teacher's daughter, just don't treat her like an outsider. When Vuong Thang saw Chivan, he was surprised. The junior sister's body revealed primal energy. This type of primal energy is quite similar to the primal energy he cultivated in his previous life. It seems things are not so simple after all. He quickly stood up. Sister has the plan changed for me to approach the junior sister and try. Quan Huyen happily nodded. Then he approached Trivan, who was still happily chatting with friends. She didn't notice him, but before he could speak, suddenly a voice rang out. Vuong Thang heard it and seemed so shocked that the phone in his hand fell to the ground. He quickly turned to see who called his name. He was very surprised because it was Tam Tien Lam, a senior from a higher class. She put down her lunch tray and quickly rushed to hug him. Is it really you? Why are you here? Her action made Quan Huyen and the boys there feel like they were struck by lightning. Everyone was buzzing. Who is this? Senior Tam also has time to develop a relationship with the junior lover. Jealous looks were cast at him. Just now I saw that kid. It seems he already has a girlfriend. Can't stand it, hit him. Tam Lam loudly said, quiet down, this is my junior from high school before. Who once saved my life? Vuong Thang recalled the senior from his previous life who became disabled after an accident. After his rebirth, he helped her escape danger. It seems she is very healthy now, that's deserved. He gently touched her shoulder. Senior, I didn't expect to meet you here. Vuong Thang thought the spiritual energy in the senior's body seems related to the junior sister. Tam Lam blushed, that's right. Suddenly, a voice interrupted their conversation. Your classmate dropped his phone. Vuong Thang was embarrassed. Huh? Thank you. Quickly seizing the opportunity, he chased after the classmate. Can I accompany you to thank you? I will invite you to a meal later, but no need to be polite. Tam Lam teased, what's wrong? Could it be you purposely dropped your phone in front of someone? He smiled awkwardly. Senior, let's sit over there first so I can introduce you. Quan Huyen's face looked uncomfortable at this moment. She looked at the girl in front of her and suddenly felt a bit guarded. Vuong ascends to introduce Quan Huyen. This is senior sister Tam Thien Lam, your high school friend. She says, to show she understands. Thien Lam couldn't help but praise the beautiful girl as soon as she saw Quan Huyen. Is this your girlfriend? Is it real or fake over here? Quan Huyen's face darkened with a series of questions in her mind. Isn't it you who went to investigate the situation of the junior sister? Who is this girl? Is her senior sister status higher or lower? How should I interact with her? Vuong, seeing her dark expression, was momentarily confused. Senior sister calmed down a bit. You and Thien Lam sit together and chat. She was surprised, so that's how it is. No wonder before when we contacted each other, you were still on Vo Mountain, now you suddenly appear here. Vuong laughed loudly. Just consider me a temporary police officer investigating some bad elements in school. Vuong initially thought after saving senior sister. The relationship between the two was quite close, although she knew he was on Vo Mountain, but some details should better remain secret. She wondered. Are there really such bad elements in school? Suddenly he asked senior sister if recently anyone invited her to join some strange society. Like related to martial arts, magic longevity, or even cultivation. Tien Lam said she had seen a poster before that seemed related, just like you said. Let me send it to you to see. It talks about a supernatural intuition society. Do you doubt this world? Do you really understand this world? Are you willing to do a job for normal pay or want to reach the peak? It's time to leave this fake world. You wonder about the Supernatural Intuition Society. After reading, he stood up and said to senior sister, that's enough. I will send someone to silently protect you. Next time, just pretend you haven't met me or my senior sister. Thien Lam quickly understood the matter. I got it. She watched the backs of the two gradually disappear. Is this the senior sister he often mentioned in messages? No wonder it was so fun on the mountain. If I hadn't met your senior sister today, I would have thought you would become a Taoist priest. Night quickly fell. At a quiet river in the city, a group sat in a circle. The one in the middle said in a lofty tone, "Don't complain about the expensive membership fee. Everything requires investment. Now we are investing in ourselves. Only then can we truly start cultivating to the peak. Let's begin." Suddenly he felt something was wrong near the bushes, so he stared and observed but found nothing. Vodang had already recorded everything. He wondered if they were preaching. Because the two had cultivation, they could hear clearly. Vodang observed the leader indeed had cultivation. If they were just practicing, these people wouldn't break the law. "I will give these photos to Manhwa for investigation," he suddenly said. "Something's wrong." He looked at the man talking to a girl. Vodang was surprised cultivation and still playing underground rules. He instructed Quan Hu Yen and senior sister to keep watching here while he went to check it out. She happily agreed. After that cultivation meeting night deepened, the man led the girl into a deserted alley, flattering her without reservation. "If you follow my wishes, don't mention the membership fee, even the martial arts pills beyond the limit I'll give you all." The girl was shy, but suddenly a loud voice boomed. "Shut up, you disgraceful scoundrel!" The man was stunned. Second uncle of the Tutan realm was defeated so quickly. Then he hurriedly said, "Let's run." From the wind, a voice rang out. Unexpectedly, the supernatural society even secretly breaks the unspoken rules like this. The elders shouted loudly, "Who is it?" Just after finishing, a figure quickly appeared in the darkness. That shadow darted swiftly on Cao Chung. Several streams of aura were shot toward the girl and the old man, causing the talisman in the old man's hand to tear apart. The man was startled. The second uncle of Tutan Khan was eliminated so quickly. Immediately after, he hurriedly fled, seeming unfriendly, just running away quickly. But before he could run far, Vodang Thang was already holding a sword to his neck, saying, "Tell me where your hideout is." The next morning, he quickly dealt with the scammer who lured the other person. By beating him badly in the courtyard, there were several old masters sitting together eating very lively. The old lady said, "The porridge is very delicious today. Add a little more tea." From outside, Vodang Thang quickly entered and spoke. "The elder super spirits have just arrived." He was already holding a sword in his hand, smiling coldly. "Good morning." The elders silently looked at each other, exchanging glances. At that moment, someone shouted loudly, "Quickly deal with that guy." The table just flew over Vodang Thang, quickly slashed it in half. His hand skillfully wielded the sword in the air, fighting against all three old men. Then it was the old lady's turn. She quickly struck a fire attack towards him. Kid, don't blame me for being cruel. But as the attack flew past, Vodang Thang swiftly dodged. She was very surprised before she could retaliate further. Vodang Thang quickly dashed behind her and struck hard at the back of her neck. In a flash, he had defeated 4 elders. Then the scene shifted to the university. In the morning, the scene here was very quiet at this time. Mao Nuye quickly called to report the situation to Vuong Dao Truong. Those scattered cultivators have revealed everything. The person who created that super spiritual society. They called themselves the Holy Fire Practitioners. They recruited 10 scattered cultivators to serve as protectors. Now, on the path they have achieved, much especially Trivan, because of a wealthy family background. Inside, there is a small leader like a lucky charm, Vodang Thang said again. "Sorry to bother you. Please send me part of their documents. I will pay attention to their direction." He thought about the Holy Fire Practitioners and the super spiritual society organized like that. Indeed, the team is a criminal group with a cultivation background, but what exactly is their goal? Could it simply be to grow big and plunder wealth no matter what? He must quickly pull his junior sister out of this muddy mess. Otherwise, troubles will keep happening. While lost in thought, suddenly a mischievous hand poked his cheek. Quan Hu Yen pouted, "Junior brother is so mean, don't let me go fight." He happily fed her a piece of cake. She smiled brightly. "Senior sister, it's time to go find little junior sister." Scene shifted a bit at night in a high-rise building. A voice rang out, "What nonsense are you all talking about?" Chivan was confused. "My father passed away 25 years ago." "Where did this come from?" "Vodang Thang's disciple gave you a photo. Please look at this first." Chivan looked at the photo, sweating and trembling, unable to explain more. "This is a photo that my master has kept for years. He really misses the two of you." Quan Hu Yen also hummed in agreement, signaling him to speak correctly. Vodang Thang continued to present evidence. "This is also from your mother sent inside little van. Vodang Thang and Quan Hu Yen are disciples of your father and people your mother trusts deeply. Leave school immediately, with these two mother will arrive there in 2 hours. Hearing this, she couldn't believe what was happening. She dropped her phone and shouted loudly, "You are all fraudsters, fraudsters!" Quan Huyen didn't know how to comfort others. Seeing Chi Van crying like that, she was very confused from afar. Everyone was paying attention to her, not noticing an arrow aimed straight at Chi Van. The arrow was just shot. Quan Huyen quickly detected something unusual. She held Chi Van tightly while using internal power to sweep strongly and knock the arrow away. Then the masked person quickly fled. He told Quan Huyen, "Senior sister, protect junior sister," then ran after Vuong Thang fiercely. The masked man finally couldn't hold on anymore. That man used the fastest speed to escape, blending into nearby bushes. Everyone in the room was in an uproar at Vuong Dao Truong's place. Something was happening. The cultivator likely discovered the high-level secret of the super-spiritual society. Mao Nuye quickly mobilized staff from various teams, preparing for combat, immediately sealing the entrances and exits of the schools, definitely not letting the opponent escape, of course, on this side. He quickly chased after the stranger. At the same time, he kicked the back of the woman, causing her to fall to the ground, hit by this blow, making her unable to hold back and vomit syrup. Then she immediately launched 2 hidden weapons at Vuong Thang, but for these cheap hidden weapons, he just needed to flick his hand to deal with them. From his hand appeared 2 streams of purple smoke. If not observed carefully, Vuong Thang knew this needle was poisoned. That guy. Seeing his power, the trembling, disoriented man asked, "Who are you?" Vuong Thang didn't answer, silently thinking the elixir is only half a step away from reaching the conception stage. Temporarily losing the ability to act, the woman's background is not small, must catch her to extract intelligence. Thinking this, he quickly escaped behind. In just a moment, Vuong Thang grabbed her by the nape. A cruel person who takes others' lives cannot be spared. She was startled and screamed loudly, begging, "Please spare me, I will give you 3 rolls of magic herbs." At this, he simultaneously released her, and the woman collapsed to the ground as if completely drained of strength. Vuong Thang calculated that her meridians had been destroyed and her cultivation ruined. The rest he left to the master. Suddenly, he sensed murderous intent, and more importantly, the murderous intent conflicted with the Taoist cultivation method. The stranger spoke up. "This young man and woman have stolen from us." They slowly approached him. "Can you hand her over to us?" "We definitely won't let you suffer any loss." Vuong Thang observed carefully for a while and noticed a seal on the man's neck similar to that on the bodyguards. It was the Yin-Yang sect. Immediately, he stood in front of the woman to block them. Cold-faced no. He did not expect to be rejected so bluntly. He then spoke, "Do you know today you have provoked an enemy you shouldn't have?" Then both emitted a strong, murderous aura. A fierce purple cloud flew straight toward Vuong Thang, who remained unshaken and coldly replied, "I said no." "Exactly no." Afterwards, Vuong Thang immediately raised his long sword in front of him and began to cultivate internal energy. Holding the sword and channeling his inner strength, his figure emitted light that pushed back the large black cloud. The tall masked man charged forward, shouting, "Look at my blade." "I will deal with that brat." "Kid, don't think you can win so easily." After finishing speaking, he swung strongly at him, but it was only a copy of Vuong Thang. He quickly moved, aiming to strike from the side. "You can't dodge." Vuong Thang was somewhat surprised. He could keep up with his 7-star step. It seemed he was not just all talk. He indeed had some real skill. If he were not unarmed against me, I would really have a hard time defending now. Both leapt into the air, exchanging numerous strikes around, but still no winner was decided. Vuong Thang glanced and was somewhat unsettled. Was his magic power forming whirlpools around him? The man shouted loudly, "Kid, your cultivation is still insufficient. You want to use the chi condensation sword technique." How arrogant. Suddenly, Vuong Thang changed direction and charged straight at the short man who was trying to capture that woman. Vuong Thang fiercely exerted strong internal energy, pushing the short man away. The short man cautiously dodged his attack, and at the same time, Vuong Thang quickly grabbed the woman. He thought at the hidden stage he already possessed a master at the chi condensation level. The yin-yang sect's strength was indeed not ordinary, but, however, this woman was an important clue to investigating the supernatural society. He could not let her die here. At the same time, the thin man aggressively said, "Enough playing around." Then he pulled his long sword from its sheath. It seemed he wanted a finishing blow. He brought the treasured sword before him, then exerted all his internal energy, wanting to strike quickly and decisively. saying that the thin man slashed the sword in the air, and giant snakes appeared from the sword, opening their mouths wide to reveal sharp fangs. Vuong Thang was somewhat startled. This blade supports murderous intent. It cannot be resisted. He had barely finished thinking when another strike quickly came. Vuong Thang raised his sword and swept it to block. A loud explosion rang out. It caused both him and the female spy to be thrown far away. The fat man laughed contemptuously. "Kid, you don't know your limits. You'll pay for this." The thin man swung his sword strongly at him, making Vuong Thang unable to block in time. He was smug. "Next life, don't meddle in other people's business." Suddenly, a burst of sword-shaped internal energy struck. It helped Vuong Thang block that attack. At the last moment, a person arrived, Quan Hu Yen. Fortunately for him, she arrived just in time to rescue. Both masked men were quite surprised and quickly retreated, shouting, "Who are you?" Upon seeing Quan Hu Yen, Vuong Thang happily exclaimed, "Senior sister." The dry branch used earlier as internal energy spun several times in the air, then she reached out and firmly grasped it. Vuong Thang stepped forward, looking straight at the two men, and said to her, "They are bad people." Hearing this without needing further explanation, Quan Hu Yen frowned, her face full of murderous intent. She looked toward the two men ready to fight. Chivan had just awakened. She took a breath and said, "First carry me and run, halfway throw me down." "What exactly do you two want to do?" She had just said this. Seeing everyone in front constantly fighting each other, momentarily confused, Quan Hu Yen on this side of the shop was fighting the short guy, and she launched a Tai Chi strike towards him. Her hand suddenly appeared and disappeared, spinning in the air as his continuous attacks came. Suddenly, from behind the skinny guy, he drew a sword to ambush her from behind. "Little girl, do you want to die?" At the same time, Vuong Thang immediately charged forward, shouting loudly, "Your opponent is me." He looked down arrogantly, turned around, and swung his sword towards the boy. "What can you do?" Vuong Thang now leapt from place to confuse the skinny guy while loudly saying, "Senior sister, don't let them escape." She hummed once, then frowned and struck repeatedly towards the short guy. He couldn't block the attacks in time and endured a series of rapid strikes from Quan Hu Yen, finally unable to hold back. He spat out a mouthful of blood, panicked, thinking, could this junior be a master at the Void Dan level? How could that be? I shouldn't get involved. I must leave quickly. Suddenly at the same time. On Chivan's side, a fierce, dark internal force surged toward her. Chivan panicked, crouched down tightly, holding her head, screaming loudly. Meanwhile, Quan Hu Yen quickly activated her internal power. Both were quickly enveloped by Quan Hu Yen's circle of power. She frowned and lightly swept her hand. This was the Yin-Yang Tu-Chi Hao Yuan formation technique. The short guy leapt up, shouting, "Hurry up! If you don't leave now, you'll die here today." The skinny guy was still attacking. After one more strike toward Vuong Thang, the boy quickly dodged to the side successfully. Easily avoiding this strike before leaving, he didn't forget to add, "Junior, your swordsmanship isn't bad either. Next time I'll fight 300 rounds with you." Quan Hu Yen immediately charged forward. It seemed these two were no match for her, but Vuong Thang quickly blocked her. "Senior sister, our important mission is to protect the little junior sister." Meng Nuye had received intelligence. Next was their mission. Quan Hu Yen tugged his sleeve. When he looked up, he saw her sulking with tears as if to say, "Senior sister, you're useless. Clearly you could have held them off." "Master will definitely scold me." Vuong Thang seemed to understand her meaning. "Senior sister, not only did you defeat the enemy, but you also protected junior sister. Very impressive." The branch he used as a weapon quickly disappeared. Vuong Thang thought, but after going through this battle, junior sister can understand everything clearly now, right? On this side. Chivan seemed unable to regain her composure. She sat down on the ground silently for a long time. Because of the ghostly chaos caused by the Lai family, the special investigation team had begun responding to the Yin-Yang sect. Even so, they still failed to capture the two evil cultivators. They only managed to kill one. The female cultivator caught by the boy was named Chi Vu, originally an outer disciple of the Medicine God Valley. Half a year ago, she accepted a contract to buy secret manuals. After being exposed, she was hunted down to silence her. When caught in the net, Tri Vu was rescued by the Holy Fire and joined the Supervoid Society, both sides. Thus the feud continued. Therefore, for Vuong Thang and others, the real misfortune was just beginning. Scene shifts to the senior mother who was disciplining Trivan. "Why did mother give birth to such a foolish child like you? Are you really stupid or purposely making me see that all these years of study were in vain?" If it weren't for those two people, you would have died by now, do you understand? Vuong Thang stepped forward, blocking her hand, saying, "Don't be angry, senior mother. Junior sister was just bewitched." Thinking of this, senior mother couldn't help but purse her lips. She forcefully pulled her hand away from Vuong Thang, then quickly left, instructing her subordinates, "You are in charge of Chivan's matters. Within 2 hours, get the results for me." The person quickly accepted the mission. "Yes, Chief." Vuong Thang sighed, raising without teaching this matter. "Master and senior mother also have responsibilities." Then he quickly approached, smiling. "Junior sister, after you finish talking, clearly come back to the mountain with us. Truly experience cultivation a bit. By the way, go meet your biological father." Scene shifts to Vo Mountain on the familiar path they often took. Today, the sky was very clear. They quickly returned to the sect. Vuong Thang introduced Junior Sister. "These are your senior brothers and sisters of the Vodang Ying Long sect." They happily greeted, "Honored to meet you. From now on, we are all fellow disciples. So interact more with each other." She shyly introduced, "Hello, senior brothers and sisters, my name is Trivan." Perhaps wanting Junior Sister to avoid disaster, senior mother quickly agreed to her proposal. The spiritual energy of Mount Vo is clear, and with the warm hospitality of fellow disciples, the Junior Sister's mood gradually brightened as everyone worked and ate together. Jichlin also cared a lot about her, urging her to eat more. The food on the mountain was quite plain but very beneficial for beginners in cultivation. She was a bit shy to thank Senior Sister. Vuong Thang spoke loudly, saying there was no need for formality, everyone should eat more. Night quickly fell. Suddenly, Van Tien approached the Junior Sister's third senior brother, asking when he would return. He didn't know, but replied to her. This was hard to say. Breaking through the Golden Core realm and being a master cultivator was not easy to achieve just like that. "If anything happens, just tell me and senior sister Quan Huyen nearby." She replied sadly. Now, Junior Sister wanted to make merit to atone, not wanting to trouble her mother or affect her work. If possible, she wanted to quickly learn some skills to join the special investigation team. Vuong Thang was secretly pleased that the little Junior Sister had this determination. It was not in vain that they had silently protected her. He quickly spoke cultivation, first values, virtue, then the mind, and only then the Tao and techniques. "Your third senior brother once taught me this. Cultivation is the pursuit of the Tao's realm, not just powerful magic. Your own Tao is the foundation. Do not confuse the beginning and the end or mix up priorities." He thought that although the danger was over, the Junior Sister still hadn't resolved the knot in her heart, but hoped the master would soon return and warm them with love. The Junior Sister also did not know how things were progressing in the special investigation team. Then night fell. The city lights were dazzling at the dormitory of some school. This young man was focused on playing a game, eyes never leaving the screen. Returning to Mount Vo, the matters of the outside world had temporarily ended. He was not much involved. The next day, he resumed cultivation, breaking through to the conception stage. There was no more trouble now that Vuong Thang had returned to the mountain. The first important thing besides continuing cultivation was that he soon entered the conception stage, spirit gathering stage, comprehending the spirit realm, beginning to harmonize himself with heaven and earth. At the conception stage, if one can independently control the connection with heaven and earth, they draw the primal energy inside and outside the universe, linking the inner and outer heavens. The conception stage can be greatly perfected. How to complete the inner and outer heaven without mistakes was Vuong Thang's current effort. Suddenly, a voice sounded, gradually calming him down. "Finghu, are you there?" Vuong Thang quickly opened the door. It was a familiar person. He said, "Senior brother Chu, are you looking for me?" Ong Long smiled brightly. "This time an elder of mine wants to meet you quickly. Let me introduce, this is my senior uncle Tao Tui Han, the head of the Taoist order." The old man looked at him. "You are Finghu, right?" Vuong Thang quickly remembered this was Tao Tui Han, his senior uncle. Then he stepped forward to greet disciple pays respects to senior Uncle Sao. The elder went straight to the point. "May I see your sword a bit?" Vuong Thang saluted. "Please, senior uncle, give me some guidance." He recalled that back then on the mountain he originally wanted to apprentice under senior Uncle Sao, but fate led him to meet his master and senior sister instead. Vuong Thang wielded his sword while thinking that life might be just like that. Gains and losses are not just a word. After some idle thoughts, the ritual ended. "I evaluate your sword Tao realm as very profound. Moreover, I am not on the same path as you, so I cannot give you direct guidance. Mount Vo is the origin of the 7-star sword technique, which differs in many ways from your 7-star sword formation. Look carefully here. Watching the elder skillfully and beautifully wield his sword, he quickly realized this sword technique shared some points with the seven-star sword formation but was not the same sword technique. Pure, urgent, central, refined, sweeping, ascending in 8 directions. No wonder he is a master of the sword Tao. If compared to him, my understanding is still too shallow. Tui Han asked him, "How do you feel?" Wang Thang thought that what he learned from his master was too complicated and not transferable. Following the same path, Senior Uncle takes the pure sword cultivation route. With his guidance, I will definitely improve. Thinking this, Wang Thang bowed. My cultivation in Sword Dao is still at the beginner level. Please guide me, Senior Uncle, the elder spoke, suggesting, you and I will practice your Sword Dao cultivation together. You are not necessarily below me. Try a few moves. He also was not reluctant to pick up the sword. Only Van in the room looked at him bewildered. Senior brother is so powerful. Quan Huyen was already very familiar with this scene. She didn't even bother to look over, just smiled brightly and hummed once. After that, Senior brother Sao came to practice with him every few days, supplementing each other in swordsmanship. In recent days, Wang Thang had also gained a lot. Until one day, a loud, cheerful laugh rang out from outside the door. You two are practicing right. But if you fight, don't hurt anyone. Shui Hang's senior brother saw the person and was surprised. Master Elder, why have you come here already? The old man stroked his beard happily and said, your senior brother and senior uncle both mentioned that Tan Gon too. Luckily, I found the peerless famous sword. Of course I want to observe it during my lifetime of sword training. Let me appraise it a bit more. Wang Thang quickly stepped forward, bowed, and paid respects to the master. His heart kept shouting that the master of his master was not the highest-ranking person on the mountain. This person was precisely the immortal sect head. After Wang Thang bowed to the master, he quickly smiled gently and said, no need to be so formal. Then he immediately lectured the two of them. You have been too stubborn with the sword and have forgotten the way. Training is training. Don't cause injuries to either side. If careless, it will injure the opponent's situation. Then he sat down at the nearby table. Look, Wang Thang, all right, start now. He thought a high-level expert named on the celestial list of the cultivation world, but like the old master, rarely showed himself. Of course he wouldn't appear on the list. To receive his guidance is truly a blessing for a junior like me. Meanwhile, the old man stroked his beard leisurely and said, Heaven and earth do not belong to me. I only found a place to take refuge. Heaven and earth thus have me to harbor the soul chi and spirit of this body. As he listened and fought with Shui Hang, suddenly a strong aura surged continuously toward Wang Thang. Those forces flowed into his 7 orifices. Wang Thang quickly absorbed all of it into his body. Very soon after, Wang Thang was able to reach the small formation stage of the conception phase. He was amazed as his spiritual energy continuously grew purer. This was the conception phase. He had to immediately consolidate this realm and prepare to break through to the golden core stage. Meanwhile, the girl standing behind the sect head was somewhat startled. The senior brother was injured, and the 2 elders silently watched him cultivate internal power to strengthen himself. The sect head exerted his internal power, then approached and transmitted it to the top of Wang Thang's head. Shui Hang was surprised and said, Master, but looking at the sect head's eyes, he suddenly understood. Shui Hang then bowed and saluted, Disciple takes leave. The elder looked here and understood that the master intended to stay to instruct Fi Ngu. Then he looked down at Wang Thang, who had recovered spiritual energy and focused on enlightenment. The old master has used the sword for many years. Today I will pass this sword path to you. I hope you can comprehend it. Hearing these words, Wang Thang felt somewhat moved. The elder began to explain sword form, sword intent, sword stance, the top 3 levels of sword cultivation. Sword stance and sword path are the foundation. But if a swordsman achieves success, most will realize 3 steps, then advance to the 4th stage, sword riding, which requires a sword core to nurture day and night with one's spiritual energy. This will lead to the 5th stage, heart sword, where one abandons the sword for the sword forms and dissolves invisibly, and sword intent can extend infinitely. All are extremely sharp. The 6th stage is soul sword, taking the heart sword as the sword soul and the body's path as the sword's backbone. Once drawn, its sheath can protect the world. Wang Thang quickly opened his eyes, but the sect head had already ridden the wind and left. He stood up. The sword path at the 6th stage of his master might not be the final stage, but it clearly pointed out a long road ahead for him. He would gradually comprehend it in the future. Before leaving, the elder left a few words. I gift you a portion of sword intent. Please comprehend it well. Vuong Thang was stunned. This was the inheritance of the master's sword realm. From behind, Quan Huyen, who had arrived unnoticed, hugged him tightly. It seemed that the inheritance of the sword realm was too much for him. He just fell asleep in Quan Huyen's arms. She did not wake him, but silently watched him sleep soundly. After a while, Chi Van came out and said, "Senior sister has returned." Quan Huyen quickly gestured for silence as the golden sunset gradually descended. Quan Huyen quickly embraced him inside. Chi Van was excited. "Senior sister is holding the princess and 2 senior brothers. This is a rare sight." This was the image of some little junior sister. Gradually, he was transformed by Tan Ngon Tu. That day passed, the scene shifted to Vuong entering the conception phase. The inheritance and enlightenment had made him sleep the whole day. But what surprised Vuong Thang was that a sword intent casually mentioned by his master was actually a dual nature sword intent combining hardness and softness, yin and yang, spring and autumn ever-changing, all of which can be called dual nature. Of course, the master only passed down the sword intent because he had entered the realm of normal sword stance and obtained the extremely mysterious dual nature sword intent, clearly understanding the path of the sword Dao he must follow later. In just 20 short days, returning to his sword Dao mountain, he made a big step forward. Later, the sword itself became his treasure and protective magic, allowing Vuong Thang to rely on it within heaven and earth. He looked up to enjoy the morning air in the mountains. Then Mao Nuye hurriedly called out loudly to him, "Chief Vuong, something bad has happened." Hearing the tone suggesting a bad situation, Vuong Thang asked what had happened. She quickly recounted that a few hours ago the Saint Fire cultivator had announced nationwide through a secure internet network. They wanted to auction 2 volumes of the Upper Middle Heavenly Master's secret records from the Long Ho Sun sect. Hearing this, Vuong Thang couldn't help but shout in surprise, "What, quickly, where is the Heavenly Master Talisman record being sold and for how much?" "Only upper middle level, huh? Over here." Quan Huyen only focused on eating. Mao Nguye was startled by his urgent words. The chief noticed his reaction was a bit excessive, coughed a few times, then continued speaking. "Has Long Ho Sun responded in any way? Have you been able to contact them yet?" Long told himself to stay calm. These are not simple days like in his previous life. What use is a Heavenly Master Talisman? Mao Nguye, sitting among a pile of documents, said, "That's right. Moreover, we have confirmed the identity of the Saint Fire cultivator, a disciple abandoned by Long Ho Sun with the Dao title Tien Han Su Fu, who is the chief of the Tien Chin Dao. A year ago, Long Ho Sun was caught after stealing the authority of the Heavenly Master Talisman. After injuring a disciple, he fled. He thought to himself, is the Dao title Tien Han Su Fu, the senior brother of Tien Chuang Maun Guyet, continued. Now Tien Chin Dao chief has sent people. But other sects might send people over as well. Vuong Thang calmly said, not surprising. The Heavenly Master's secret records surely attract many sects' attention, Maun Guyet continued. Once this escapes control, it might cause trouble throughout the cultivation world. To prevent that, we can only rely on Chief Vuong's help to stabilize the situation. He frowned, thinking, this matter is very significant. I need to think of a plan. Vuong Thang calculated that if the sect chiefs of the Dao sect intervene, neither he nor his senior sister could do much. If that's the case, only the master can step forward. The scene at Trung Nam Mountain is quite far from here, but they are all Dao friends. An old man on the road laughed loudly. You are the disciple of that Tan Ngon Tu, right? Vuong Thang answered. Yes, senior. Have you met my master Tan Ngon Tu before? He held up his phone. Has he arrived at Trung Nam Mountain? I will help you inquire. Then he busied himself. Dao friends, have you seen Dao friend Tan Ngon Tu? The disciple of Vuong Fingu was searching. A voice came from the other side. Tan Ngon Tu has finally arrived at Trung Nam Mountain. Last time I sought guidance on Dao law, he still hadn't finished speaking. Recently, I heard Dao friend Tan Ngon Tu return to discuss Dao, but he didn't come to my place. Fingu is the beloved sword disciple of Dao friend Tan Ngon Tu, right? Which house is he at now? I'll go check if he has indeed arrived at our Trung Nam Mountain. I, a humble Taoist, like sword cultivation best, he sweated, thinking. Each mountain has its own unique cultivation atmosphere and rules. Mao Sun has many mountains. Vo Mountain is a good place to hide. Unexpectedly, Trung Nam Mountain reveals many flavors of human affairs. The other side was still saying Dao friend Tan Ngon Tu seems to be at the place of Dao Chief Tin Von. Finally found him. He is at my place. So where is Fi Ngu now? Wang Thang was startled by the voice of Dao Chief Tin Van's daughter, who is a Con Dao. Con Dao is a form of address for female Dao cultivators. He felt a bit anxious, sensing a breath of grassland qi from the great master's side. Immediately, he quickly went to find his master. May I ask if Dao Chief Tin Van is here? Wang Thang thought. I heard that Tin Van Dao Chief's cultivation and talent are extraordinary. Why was this person not on the celestial list in the previous life? This character does not exist. But if the master has chosen to stay here, then so be it. Sect leader Tin Van must be a very trustworthy fellow cultivator. A voice echoed in his mind. Fi Ngu is here already. Wang Thang looked around. This was voice transmission. They had always been walking on the small path to the west in the garden, and it could be transmitted to their location. The two quickly went inside. He was surprised that this was the cultivation place of sect leader Tin Van. Wang Thang quickly found a cave entrance. Although blocked by rocks, it still continuously emitted light. He thought, inside the cave is the master's breath. It seems he is in seclusion inside. Suddenly, a voice spoke softly. You have entered during the Kimdan condensation stage, which is very dangerous. You absolutely must not disturb Tan Ngon Tu Su. Understood. This time you came to see him. Is there something you need? After a while, he recounted everything, and Tin Van quickly understood the situation. In this situation, you two seniors really find it hard to persuade the elders of those sects. But speaking of that, she frowned. At first, Chilang Tao Tao said, just go and go. Than Ngon Tu Su elder brother felt unhappy because she and the child in her womb now wanted elder brother to put in effort for her. What kind of principle is this? Wang Thang silently felt distressed looking at Tin Van's senior uncle's expression. Could it be he had intentions toward the master? Suddenly, a loud explosion sounded from above, lighting up the night sky. Wang Thang and Tin Van couldn't help but look up in surprise. Looking up, he was amazed. This was a heavenly tribulation. Master had broken through Kim Dan's stage. She advanced without fear. Elder brother's Kim Dan had been completed. Now he needed to undergo enlightenment after the breakthrough. Do not disturb him now. I will go instead. Just in time, I want to ask Chilang Tao Tao a little about what she relied on to leave like that back then, causing the two father and child of Tan Ngon elder brother to be separated for over 20 years. Wang Thang couldn't help but sweat coldly inside, struggling. This trip would surely be full of turmoil. Everyone quickly descended the mountain together. A car soon picked up him and Tin Van. Mao Nguye spoke, Dao Master Vuong, sorry to trouble you again this time. Vuong Thang replied, It's okay, please tell me the specific situation over there. She quickly recounted that currently the core members of the Super Spiritual Society still had no clues, but according to the documents displayed later, there were holy fire cultivators and secret evil cultivation organizations operating such as Tien Hoa sect and Ngu Tan sect. He continued among these organizations. Only Ngu Tan sect had some scale. What about the Am Duong sect? Ngu Tan sect was a typical organization of the evil sects in the previous life. Unexpectedly, they encountered them again this time. Mong Nguye said there was no clue about Am Duong sect. As for Ngu Tan sect, they had a large number of masters infiltrating the city. They even said they would definitely obtain the Tien Su talisman. Wang Thang smiled stiffly. They even actively helped Am Duong sect attract firepower. Should I praise them or not? Tin Van commented that although they were not large in scale, they were still evil cultivators after all. She then suggested, Phi Ngu, later you and I will go on the road to see what's going on. If we encounter evil cultivators harming people, we must deal with them. He silently admired that his senior uncle had a cold exterior but a warm heart inside. He has a chivalrous heart, Wang Thang said. Senior uncle, I have a friend during this time. Also paying attention to the surrounding situation, he asked her about it. She was surprised. A friend? Oh, the person you mentioned is Tien Lama. She looked at Tin Van and her eyes brightened. Is this really your senior uncle? He looks very young. Wang Thang introduced. Yes. This is my senior junior sister of the master, also my childhood sweetheart. Tin Van Genren happily greeted her. Nice to meet you. You are Phi Ngu's senior sister, right? Wang Thang quickly got to the point. Senior sister, is there anything unusual at the school now? She raised her phone. I don't know if this counts as unusual. Look at this. The content is about who can cultivate. Only cultivators can practice, while we can only be ordinary people. These are all plots by some righteous sects. Even without talent, is it not allowed to extend life or avoid illness? Everyone has the right to cultivate, based on what the cultivation methods and resources are all monopolized by cultivators. Wang Thang read through and immediately knew clearly that someone wanted to add fuel to the fire here. Moreover, it was likely that the Holy Fire Cultivator Super Spiritual Society was auctioning cultivation methods and now inciting ordinary people. What exactly did he want to do? Meanwhile, Tin Van quickly alerted him. Fingu, something's wrong. Wang Thang then looked at the other man walking with a girl, but the problem was that he emitted a very strong, murderous aura. Back to the scene transition to a large hotel in the middle of the city, a cunning voice sounded. "Master, are you satisfied with this person?" Inside the room, the old man was observing the girl he had just met Wang Thang at the tavern. Not bad at all. The spiritual energy was barely depleted, much better than the previous batch. Wang Thang and Tin Van quickly gave chase. They could hear the conversation inside, even from here, of course. He cunningly said, "Master, you don't know how these women usually are." The old man then instructed, "All right, go to the next room and wait. Wait until Master is done then. I will share some benefits with you." As he spoke, he reached out to undress the girl. At the same time, the main door was suddenly kicked open with a loud bang. The old man was startled and shouted, "Who's there?" At that moment, Tin Van quickly rushed forward to attack him. She exerted her inner strength fiercely and shouted loudly, "Fiangu, don't let anyone go!" As soon as she finished speaking, Tin Van charged and struck the old man repeatedly. The young man panicked and shouted, "Master!" At the same time, a fierce force struck the young man's acupoints. Causing him intense pain, Wang Thang only needed one move to defeat the opponent. After finishing, he loudly announced, "Master, the matter on my side has been resolved." Meanwhile, Tin Van was still enthusiastically eliminating the cultists. She shouted, "Protect that girl!" Wang Thang observed that his master, who usually cultivated in the mountains, lacked much combat experience and was currently relying only on suppressing his cultivation. If this continued for long, problems might arise. Thinking this, he quickly shouted, "Master, use force to control the enemy, no need to hold back." Tin Van struck a punch straight to the old man's chest. He couldn't block it, and was thrown far away like a small bird flying straight out the window. Suddenly disrupted, he shouted angrily and resentfully, "You ruined my good plan, I will kill your entire family." Wang Thang immediately guessed this was a spiritual attack. The old man continued with filthy words. "And I will disgrace your female relatives related to you until death." Wang Thang gritted his teeth. "Do you want to die?" Hearing his perverted words, he couldn't hold back his rising anger. Wang Thang grabbed his sword and charged out firmly, thinking that his cultivation of the sword path was to protect his family. If he couldn't even do this, then what was the point of reincarnation? Thinking this, he decisively pointed his longsword at the old man. The old man panicked, forming a hand seal while thinking, "So young, just entered the nascent soul stage, yet not afraid of my spiritual attack. Who is this kid?" Even harder to deal with than that void core. Soon after, thousands of sharp hands appeared from his body, fiercely striking toward Wang Thang, but he showed no fear, and instead shouted loudly, charging forward with his hidden sword. "Dao Tam Tang Luong He Sword Quan Truong Kong." Finally, the old man was successfully pierced through the chest by Wang Thang's sword. Mao Nunguye and the others waiting below suddenly saw the old man fall from a height. They were shocked. The old man had the sword stuck deep in his abdomen, but the sword had broken in half. Due to falling from a high floor, Wang Thang's legs were bleeding heavily. Wang Thang picked up the broken sword, his eyes showing sorrow. He looked at the sword feeling heavy-hearted, and two words echoed in his mind, "Sorry, Investigation Bureau." Monguye quickly reported back to the team leader that the identity of the cultist had been thoroughly investigated. He was a wanted criminal for countless cases, having killed dozens of people. After the energy of heaven and earth recovered, he would use dark arts to expel yin and supplement yang to become a high-level expert again. Not long ago, he became an elder in the Five Gods sect with the Taoist name Mokam Than Thien Hoa Dao Nan. Hearing this, Chilang sighed. If they had already found the cultist's whereabouts, then there were over 100 ways to deal with him. Wang Thang really took responsibility by jumping from the 18th floor to strike him. Wang Thang forced a smile. "At that time, I didn't think much." Tin Van said irritably, "If Fiangu hadn't come down the mountain to help her, how could she have gotten injured?" Tin Van said angrily, "If Fiangu hadn't come down the mountain to help her, how could she have gotten injured?" The two women silently looked at each other with fiery eyes. He was momentarily panicked and hurriedly stopped them, "Master Uncle." Finally, the two chose to cut ties with each other. Vuong Thang breathed a sigh of relief. Luckily, no fight broke out. A gentle voice sounded at the same time. Don't worry, don't let others get hurt. Your tendons and bones should rest a bit. I also have to return to school tomorrow. I'll stew a pot of bone soup and bring it to you. Vuong Thang politely thanked senior sister Tien Lam, who smiled happily. It's nothing, take care of little junior brother. I should do it right away. After that, Tien Lam went home alone. On the empty road, a car was already waiting there as if it knew something. Tien Lam quickly approached, and a man dressed as a bodyguard stepped forward. We had a hard time finding you. At the same time, an old lady sitting in the car spoke up. Young sect leader, the old lady is not convenient to get out of the car to pay respects. Please forgive me. Tien Lam was surprised. Third aunt, why are you here already? The old lady said, We are not at ease, so we sent protection for you. Young sect leader tonight might not be peaceful. The auction tonight will be held at midnight. You can use cash for transactions or use cultivation techniques to exchange. The Heavenly Master Talisman is a top-tier cultivation technique. Of course, it will attract many cultivators who want to obtain the technique, which has the ability to kill and rob, causing many ordinary people to be injured. Vuong Thang, because of his injury, still cannot go there. Fortunately, Master Tan Van went to battle to help stabilize the situation for the sect lady. With Tin Van here, the special investigation team and the cooperation of both sides smoothly proceeded to transfer the scene. Mao Nye reported, Now we just wait for the fake fire master to appear. Sect leader Vuong, the heavenly net is set. We arranged this formation to definitely catch him. What day is it today? Mao Nye curiously asked. October 18th. Why? Vuong Thang thought about what he did at this time in his past life. He felt this event was somehow related to him in his past life. Suddenly he remembered the Holy Fire Master. Suddenly, a familiar loud voice came from outside the door. Thang ka, Thang ka. It was Tien Chuang crying and holding onto Vuong Thang's leg. Thang ka, I want to die, Thang ka. Vuong Thang was startled. Damn, why are you here? Immediately, Vuong Thang quickly signaled Mao Nye to leave. Leaving them alone in the room, then he smiled bitterly. If there's anything, just say it. Wanting to live or die, what does that mean? You are a disciple of Long Ho Mountain. Don't let others laugh at you. Tien Chuang wiped his tears. Thang ka, don't lecture me anymore. Vuong Thang didn't waste time and directly exposed. You came because of the Holy Fire Master Guo Tien Han. Right, Vuong Thang was not surprised. I had long guessed your relationship, but I didn't expect the Heavenly Master Talisman was passed down by you. Tien Chuang recounted, He said he wanted to do something big. He told me not to track his whereabouts, but I really didn't know he would cause such a big incident. I also don't know how many people will die tonight. I have a way to find him, but I don't dare because he is my best brother. Thanka, please tell me what I should do. I'm very confused, Vuong Thang said. Because of your duty to protect the sect and the cultivation technique, you have to go save your senior brother and stop his mistakes. The auction is about to start. If you hesitate, it will be hard to save everything. Tien Chuang was put in a difficult position and couldn't help but tear at his hair. Finally, he made up his mind. Thang ka, honestly, I have to find Tien Han and stop him before he causes a bigger problem. Vuong Thang smiled brightly at Tien Chuang. It's good that you can think clearly. Suddenly, Vuong Thang sensed a strong aura flying toward here. A flash of alertness rose, then he reflexively pulled Tien Chuang aside and shouted loudly, Be careful! Outside, Mao Nye had already been knocked unconscious, lying in a corner. The outer door was quickly opened. Sect Leader Thi, where are you going? 3 strangers entered, smiling slyly. Tien Han, Sect Leader, the big event has happened. Don't bother him anymore. Tien Chuang stood in front of Vuong Thang. Aggressively, Who are you, Vuong Thang observed the 3 people for a while. The young man's realm was not yet developed, but the 2 followers were at the second realm. Looks like today we have trouble. The other smiled brightly. Sect Leader Vuong, if you have escaped, don't interfere in this matter. We just want to talk to Sect Leader Thi a bit. The nurse beside stepped forward and reported, Young Master, the special investigation team has sent people here. He sighed in relief, if that's the case. I can only ask Sect Leader Thi to go first. As he finished speaking, the 2 men quickly leapt toward Tien Chuang. She fiercely spun 2 blades in her hands, escaping just as the blades were at Tien Chuang's neck. He quickly harnessed his internal power, using the diamond body to defend against the sword and spear attacks from the masked man. Then I will slash a few more times. He quickly leapt to dodge those fierce attacks. Tien Chuang quickly flew through the window, wanting to assassinate. I will go out, don't involve others. The young master ordered, Don't let him survive, get him out of this hospital. Both quickly rushed after Vuong Thang, observing them only targeting Tian Chuang. As long as he didn't intervene, they might overcome this danger. But he felt extremely uneasy inside, truly feeling death was near and unsure how to save those below. Tian Chuang quickly blew out a swarm of black butterflies to attack the two men again. But the momentum of the masked man was not ordinary either. He quickly broke through the deadly strike from above. The female nurse swiftly landed on Tian Chuang's shoulder, though only at the spirit-gathering realm. Yet she could endure in our hands for so long. You are formidable too. He was startled, sensing trouble. The knife was about to stab into Tian Chuang's eye. He couldn't help sweating. Suddenly, a wheelchair was thrown from somewhere straight at the nurse, knocking her off Tian Chuang. The masked man was also slashed, once furious. You! The wheelchair slowly landed near Tian Chuang. A familiar voice sounded. Although I and Tian Chuang are not close comrades, I cannot let him die here. Vuong Thang said, then gently lowered himself. The young master spoke. Dao Truong Vuong, it seems you do not want to accept my offer. Vuong Thang, draw your sword and fight. He looked at him, calculating. This person had not acted earlier, so his true strength was unknown. Then he snapped his fingers, ordering the sword servant, Dao Truong Vuong, I entrust him to you. The man quickly agreed. Immediately after, he charged. The young man had not yet settled the score last time. Today he continued. He calculated his two legs were injured, unable to use the 7-star sword formation. But now he knew how to use not only this sword formation, his attack struck the sword servant disdainful of such flashy tricks. They were meaningless. Vuong Thang calmly raised his sword and asked, Is that so? Then he lifted the sword into the air. Sword intent fluctuated like the 4 symbols and 8 trigrams weighing heavily. A strong beam of light shot straight at the opponent. This attack made him momentarily unable to withstand it. He immediately knelt down, his body trembling slightly. But it didn't stop there. Vuong Thang continued with the 4 symbols and 8 trigram sword stance. Meanwhile, the nurse was fiercely fighting, confident in her abilities. Tian Chuang struggled to match strength. With someone stronger than himself like this, he quickly used the spirit snake talisman simultaneously. A fierce yellow snake charged at the nurse. She disdainfully created a clone to fight the snake, mocking such petty tricks. The snake was quickly dealt with. The nurse easily slashed through its body. Her sword swiftly moved toward Tian Chuang, who was startled, his heart shaken, sensing trouble. Then Tian Chuang quickly dodged, using the 3-sound command and 5 elements at the Martial Empress Earth Guard, protecting his body like a law command. At the same time, the attack quickly aimed straight at the nurse, making her struggle momentarily. Angry and fierce, she charged at Tian Chuang. You bastard! I want your life! The blade flashed like lightning across his neck. At that moment, Vuong Thang shouted loudly, Tin Ven Su Thuk, directly use the sword mastery to kill! At that moment, a strong aura suddenly blocked in front of Tian Chuang. He was momentarily stunned, only sword energy, not the sword mastery. Tian Chuang smugly thanked Vuong Thang for distracting the enemy. My little diamond body is still working. Girl, let's continue fighting another 300 rounds. Suddenly, a golden light emitted, surprising Tian Chuang. He wondered what it was. The young master laughed slyly, shooting an attack at him, making Tian Chuang unable to react in time. He arrogantly said, Sorry, time is urgent. We will not waste the sword master's time anymore. Vuong Thang hurried over anxiously, asking, Are you okay? Tian Chuang trembled, but still endured, avoiding vital spots to survive. Quickly, the investigation team arrived to assist, surrounding the target, determined to capture the opponent. The nurse quickly reported, Young Master, the special investigation team has arrived. He looked very calm. I knew that afterward. The young master looked at Vuong Thang with a sly gaze at the same time. That sword servant mechanically stood up and advanced toward Vuong Thang. Just a glance was enough to know this person had lost his mind. Immediately after he left, the nurse called out in surprise to the young master, but he said, Our purpose has been achieved. Let's go. They quickly entered the dark alley, leaving the sword servant to fight. The bloodied sword servant raised his sword and struck straight ahead. But very quickly, long chains were shot out, tightly wrapping around him and restraining him. The special investigation team members coordinated very smoothly. The chains tightened more and more at the same time. One of them struck a blow to his chest. In just a moment, the sword servant could no longer endure and collapsed. Vuong Thang watched them leave. It is said that the special investigation team from the previous life once organized a demon hunting team. It seems that was them. The investigation team quickly reported via radio that they had restrained 1 demon cultivator, while 2 others had fled into the hospital. The front line ordered Team 1 to block all entrances and exits. Team 2 went in to search. If anyone resisted, they were allowed to kill one of them. Stepping forward, they looked at Vuong Dao Truong and asked if he needed help with treatment. Vuong Thang looked over. This was Ti Tien Chuang, the Dao Truong of Long Ho Mountain, who knew how to find the holy fire cultivator. Those others should save him first. After this, Vuong Thang seriously thought it over. Now he understood why he had never passed the name of Ti Tien Chuang before. Immediately after Tien Chuang was quickly given medicine and his wounds bandaged, Vuong Thang thought about the Tan Hoa fake auction tonight, which could expose the cultivation world before the public. It would definitely cause a shock to society, and the more chaotic the situation, the more benefits the Yin-Yang sect would gain. Ti Tien Chuang held the whereabouts of the holy fire cultivator. Directly deciding the success or failure of the opponent's plan, the Yin-Yang sect, because of the holy fire cultivator's plan, naturally would not let him survive here. The Tien Chuang gritted his teeth and felt guilty. Tien Han Lao Tu apologized to him, saying in the next life he would work hard for him. After speaking, he released a bird carrying his blood flying high into the sky. The special investigation team then began to act. Team 1 stayed behind to protect the two Dao Truongs, while the others immediately followed and reported to headquarters. Using all means to lock the talisman, Vuong Thang watched the bird released into the sky and said, "You are safe now." Tears on Tien Chuang's face could not be held back. Falling like rain, he gritted his teeth to endure the pain and said Vuong Thang only said after crying, "Let's wait for the results together."